Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. A beautiful afternoon. Temperatures towards the upper 80s, mostly sunny skies. Then into Wednesday, things are looking dry until the evening hours. Could be seeing some showers and storms looking scattered. Those could have some stronger winds towards the overnight hours late Wednesday. And then to Thursday, looking at scattered chances off and on. Isolated chance into Friday, drying by the weekend as temperatures climb back towards the upper 80s and lower 90s. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
There's a lot to talk about today, St. Louis. Let's get the conversation started. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on NewsTalkSTL.
Here we go. It is election day. So here's what I'm asking. If you're going to be voting this morning, maybe on your way to work or something like that, because polls open at 7 a.m., shoot us a note or give me a call, 314-912-1019. Let me know how the voter turnout looks wherever it is that you're voting. I want to keep track of that throughout the morning. But good morning. Happy Tuesday. Happy election day. Boy, I tell you, it's all going to be over after this, at least for a little while. Then, of course, the midterms come our way in November. Now, that's not the only thing going on. Obviously, there's a lot happening, including the fallout from Anthony Fauci's non-testimony the other day. Congressman Bob Onder joined us on Monday's program, as he does pretty much every week, and gave us his thoughts on that and also on the likelihood that we're going to avoid another partial government shutdown, at least for a little tiny bit. Congress members don't want to be running in the general with a shutdown going on. Here's what the congressman had to say.
Was the berating of the science enough?
Nope.
Or should Anthony Fauci face more consequences for all of his lies? Remember, we're not going after him because he got it wrong. We can forgive getting it wrong. What we can't forgive is lying about it and wanting to beat people into submission because we were saying, hey, you're wrong.
Or are you sure about that?
Right.
Is there a possible other explanation?
Look at all of the things that you're destroying. Yeah, so where do we go from here? Congressman Bob Onder joins us. Obviously, not only do I get to tap into your perspective as a member of Congress, but being a physician as well. So under the advice of counsel, I will invoke my Fifth Amendment right, yada, 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 111 times to very, very straightforward questions, even when given the opportunity to apologize. Some of that was a little bit of a, dog and pony show because Republicans, had him by the short hairs. But there were some significant points that were very poignant that were made on that. Bob, what was your reaction when you were watching or rewatching and taking in those entire hearings that happened with Fauci?
Well, good morning. It's great to be back. Yeah, that hearing did not surprise me. It was typical Tony Fauci arrogance and impunity on full display. Of course, we are very used to, in our system of government and our protections of criminal suspects, we're very used to the concept of someone who's under suspicion of a crime taking the Fifth Amendment, refusing to testify against themselves. But of course, Tony Fauci has been granted absolute immunity, a complete pardon for everything he did, an incredibly broad pardon by Joe Biden in his final days. So Tony Fauci did not have a Fifth Amendment privilege there to refuse to answer, but he certainly was not going to tell us the truth of what he imposed upon the American people. So and I would argue too, by making an opening statement, he did waive his Fifth Amendment rights, even if he had them at that hearing. That hearing in conjunction with the diaries really lets us know everything we always suspected about Tony Fauci. Complete arrogance, complete vanity, narcissism. While your kids were locked out of school, while you were locked out of church, while we were forced to wear masks, while we were forced to social distance, while our grandmothers died in nursing homes alone, Tony Fauci was gushing about how he was hobnobbing with celebrities like Barbara Streisand and Julia Roberts, having dinner with Jake Tapper and his wife while we were unable to go out to restaurants. more than anything, though, let's not lose sight of the fact that much of what Fauci did was to cover up for the fact that he, with NIH money, with taxpayer money, funded the Wuhan Institute of Virology and the gain-of-function research that may very well have been the proximate cause of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Bob, do you think if there is a vote to hold him in contempt, it's going to have any teeth?
Well, being in contempt of Congress is a crime, and then it's a matter of the Justice Department to enforce it. And I think they should. And I've been in touch with Chairman Jordan of the House Judiciary Committee. We're going to do something, too. We're not exactly sure right now what it will be. But will Fauci ever be held accountable for what he did to the American people, how he repeatedly lied, how he imposed pain and suffering on Americans beyond all belief, especially to our young people? Will he be held responsible for any of that? I doubt it. But at very least, he's in contempt of Congress. Let's prosecute that to the full extent of the law.
Yeah, any accountability, even a dusting of it's better than nothing. But yeah, I think
Amen.
You're right. I don't think that overall. I don't think the federal government is going to go too hard after him. Unfortunately, we're visiting with Congressman Bob Onder. Looks like there's a deal struck to put a little Band-Aid on the whole government shutdown thing, at least until after the election, at least, and then we'll deal with it again come January. What's your understanding of the deal that was made in the Senate? Because this has still got to go through you all in the House again, because my understanding is it's different than the bill that was passed by the House.
Yeah. I don't know the detail. That's kind of fairly late breaking news, and I don't know the detail of the Senate bill. We of course, right before the August recess, passed a continuing resolution that would have funded the government through early December, so get us through the election. I'll have to look at the details of that. The other thing we did right before recess was to pass a budget reconciliation that would include the Save America Act, as well as provide funding for our troops and some relief for our farmers. It doesn't look like John Thune has any enthusiasm for that. So, I'll have to study what the Senate's up to right now. But look, if we need to come back from recess to get the government funded to avoid another painful shutdown, I'm on the next plane.
Bob, we've been talking about this morning on the show, the concerns about the vulnerability of our infrastructure, our water systems, electrical grid, that sort of thing. There was just a story regarding Minnesota, some hacking in Minnesota and possibly Michigan that affected or could have affected their drinking water supply. Is that something that you see Congress taking a look at or working towards trying to help? I mean, I think we do have to shore up our systems and make sure they're not vulnerable to such attacks.
Yes, we really do. This is the kind of thing that's not been on our radar the way it should be. Last week, the FBI and the EPA confirmed that there were 7 malicious attacks, cyber attacks on water technology systems in at least 7 states just last week, which forced some facilities to switch over to manual operations. This is of real concern. Apparently, if you access and control these systems by the internet, you can do all sorts of bad stuff, like cause the pipes to lose pressure, which can result in untreated groundwater seeping into the pipes. So this could really result in essentially bioterrorism attacks. I believe, yes, this is interstate, this is national security. So I think there's a role for Congress here, and I think we need to be on this ASAP.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm the last one to go, federal government needs to step up and do something. But for those very reasons, this is one where it's obvious that this falls well within the constitutional realm of the federal government doing something proactive here.
Yeah, and Mike, just the fact that 7 states in 1 week, it is definitely interstate, and it's and again it looks like a potential cyber espionage, at least, or attempted bioterrorism. Yeah, we've got to bring all the resources of the federal government to looking at this.
Bob, it sounds like a deal was struck possibly to get Todd Blanche approved as the Attorney General. Obviously, Tom Tillis and John Cornyn were the holdouts for the Senate. And again, I realize it's the Senate, not the House. But what's your take on that whole situation and Blanche being approved?
Yeah, the whole holdup was that those two senators wanted some sort of formal assurance that there not be a $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund, which President Trump, heaven knows there was a lot of weaponization of government against political opponents by Joe Biden and his administration, but they wanted assurance that some big slush fund that might be used to reward Trump allies not be set up. So it sounds like some documents are being drafted, and that will be enough to reassure those two senators and win Mr. Blanche's confirmation, which I think is a good thing. I think Todd Blanche is very qualified, 15 years as a Justice Department prosecutor, a strong resume as a private attorney. He's done a good job as acting attorney general. So there's no reason why a Republican president shouldn't get his nominees approved. Certainly not with Republican senators obstructing him.
All right, 314-912-1019. So a couple questions. One, let me know how the turnout is wherever it is that you're going to vote. Or if you get there early and there's a line, I'd love to know that. Just send us a note on social media, or you can email me or just give me a call and let me know. And also, is there anything you're really passionate for or against that's driving you out to the polls today? What is it that's got you motivated to get out and vote today? All right, let me know right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Whether at home or at work, you're mobile. So when you're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com.
Steve Ellman leads St. Charles County. Ellman has fought for smart growth and moratoriums on apartments and data centers. Ellman doubled our parks, increased our conservation land, and helped create 50,000 new jobs. Ellman has built hundreds of miles of new roads. Ellman prioritized law enforcement and put officers in schools, making our county safest in the region. And Steve Ellman eliminated the county's real and now personal property taxes. While Steve Ellman leads, Bill Eigel misleads. Eigel promised to cut your property taxes for 8 years, but never did. Instead, he didn't pay his own taxes. Eigel was rebuked by President Trump's lawyer for misleading and scamming donors to pay for his campaigns. Eigel said he's against data centers, but he never voted to regulate data center abuses, but did vote to give tax dollars to benefit the company behind the St. Charles Data Center.
Paid for by the committee to elect Steve Ellman, Michael Summer Jr., Treasurer.
42% of Missouri fourth graders can barely read. 42%. It's the worst result in 20 years. If kids can't read by third grade, they fall behind in school, and many never catch up. But other states have provided a roadmap for success. Missouri needs one universal reading test for all third graders and one clear statewide standard for what it means to pass that test. A struggling reader who still can't read after extra help and a second chance at the test should repeat third grade with some exemptions. We also need to end the outdated 3Qing method, which encourages guessing instead of reading, and require teachers to be trained in the science of reading. In Mississippi and Indiana, test scores jumped up dramatically after these reforms, and Missouri can do the same. Missouri children deserve to become confident, capable readers, and strong early literacy reforms can make it happen. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by the Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hey, it's Columbo reminding you that when the fish are biting, gear up with the best at Bluff City Outdoors. They have a huge selection of all the gear you need for your next trip on the water, including great products from all the top brands in the industry like Mega Bass, Mad Cats, Penn, and more. Plus, join us every Saturday at 11 a.m. on the Bluff City Outdoors show for great conversation and the local fishing report. Open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at BluffCityOutdoors.com.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Here we are, Election Day.
It's the day.
Been leading up to this for, honestly, with some of the discussions like Amendment 5, we've been leading up to it for a year. Over a year. Because we did the first Road to Zero event over a year ago with Glenn Jacobs. Or about a year ago, I guess it was, with Glenn Jacobs.
Wow, it's really been a year already.
It's been a year. I do want to do a quick correction. I just realized in the last segment, I said polls open at 7. They open at 6.
Oh,
on the Missouri side. So they open in like 10 minutes.
10 minutes. You can bring us with you.
Yeah, there are probably lines in some places now. And so that's one of the things that I'm asking. Let me know how the turnout is. On a primary election, there usually aren't lines to vote, but there might be this time. I drove by the polling place up at the elementary school on the way to work here at in the Maryland Heights. Signs everywhere. So this is going to be one of the highest voter turnout primary elections in like 20 years. So this is going to be a really busy one. So here's my question. One, if you're out to vote today, send us a note. Hey, what's the line look like? Busy, not busy, normal, whatever it is. And then here's the other question is, what are the races or the issues that are most important to you that's really motivating you either to get out to vote today or if you've already voted early? What was that one or two questions, whether it's a candidate race or a ballot issue, what is it that really motivated you to say, heck yes, I'm getting out there to vote? I'm curious what that is, because that's going to be different for everybody.
It's a really good question. It's times like these where it's very important to get out there, because it's not like a national election where you're going to have to fight through hordes of people and that, people over, in a different state. This is going to affect our state where we live. It's important that we get out there and make sure that we count. Yeah,
and the thing is in Missouri, because for instance, I had one of my baseball games last night, and I was asked about, because one of my teams has a game tonight, which I'm not going to be able to do. I'm going to be involved in, obviously the early coverage of our election night coverage here, so I'm not going to be able to make it to that game. And my teammate goes, I didn't even realize it was election day. Well, he lives on the Illinois side. It's not election day in Illinois, because they had their primary election earlier this year. So there is no election in Illinois. It's Missouri that has all of the election activity going on. And because it was funny, because he was like, I feel really dumb. I'm like, why? You've already had your primary. You don't have election day. It's not election day for you. It's election day for everybody else.
If you're on the Illinois side, stay on your side of the border today.
Right. Well, I tell you one thing. I in central and southern Illinois, there's probably a lot of conservative refugees who are looking for somewhere to go. It's just Indiana is going out of their way to go, hey, come here. Missouri should do more of that. I've actually told a bunch of my teammates, because I got a lot of guys who live on the Illinois side. I'm like, hey, we'll welcome you over here. Especially some of you who are retired or retiring, come on over, and some of them are like, it makes a lot of financial sense to do that. So big deal on the elections. Get out to vote. Normally I say, conservatives get out and vote in Missouri, conservatives win. I think there's a lot of conservatives who are misguided on some big things. To me, the biggest issue on the ballot, and we'll dig into this a lot more here right after, is Amendment 4.
Yeah.
Now, there are some really important local primary races as well, but Amendment 4 is the big one to me. I'm just going to call it like it is, guys. We're going to lose Amendment 5. It's going down.
Yeah.
Now, don't let that stop you from getting out to vote. I'm going to vote. I'm going to vote for it. Just understand the messaging's been a mess. The lies have taken hold on it. The Republicans in the legislature did not do a good job of boiling this down to something that's digestible for the average non-nerd, non-policy wonk type of person. And the other side was able to exploit a lot of fears, and they did raise a couple of valid questions on it. I'm not gonna say that it's just all misinformation on one side. There is a lot of misinformation. They're lying about Amendment 4 in a huge way, and I'm worried that that's going to be taken down as well. But Amendment 4, I still think there's a chance we might be able to pass that. It's crucial to the state. It's really disappointing to see so many people who say, well, I'm conservative, but I'm against Amendment 4. If you're conservative, then you should be voting for Amendment 4, period. And if you say you are pro-life, you should be voting for Amendment 4. There really isn't an excuse not to on this. So, but we'll dig into that a little more here.
Yeah, and just a quick reminder in case you don't want to go in blind. Like I know Amendment 4, I know Amendment 5, but there's going to be more stuff on there. NewsTalkSTL.com/sample ballot. You can actually get a sample ballot so that way you're totally informed by the time you walk into the ballots.
Right. Well, and matter of fact, in St. Louis County and in a couple of other municipalities, you're going to see Prop U, and that is a sales tax increase. Now, these have been rejected by voters, and like St. Louis County voters rejected this just 2 or 3 years ago, and they put it back on the ballot. I'm voting no. I wish there were a way to put hell no, but I'm voting no on Prop U, and I encourage you to vote no on Prop U. And then Prop C is so confusing. But basically what they're doing is changing some stuff on terms of office for St. Louis County, but then also allowing the county council to give the next executive a big raise. Mm-hmm. That's what they're doing. Okay, real quick here. I mentioned yesterday, I said, hey, Cardinals roster, not going to look the same. I called it.
You did.
Okay, so Dustin May, J.J. Romero pitchers, they are now traded to the Milwaukee Brewers.
Ooh.
And that's unusual because normally you don't trade within your own division during the season, but the Cardinals are getting a couple of outfield prospects. We're probably not going to see them this year. If we are, it's going to be much later. And Lars Nootbaar is no longer a St. Louis Cardinal. He's really, really popular. He has been traded to the Diamondbacks, and the Cardinals are getting a couple of pitching prospects and a player to be named later. But Lars Nootbaar actually recorded a message to St. Louis Cardinals fans. Here is what he had to say right after learning that he was traded. He actually recorded this still wearing his Cardinals gear. He hadn't even changed out of it yet.
Hey, Cardinal fans, Lars Nootbaar here. It's an emotional time for me. I just want to thank you guys for everything. From being an 8th round draft pick in 2018 to being on the team in 21 on that 17-game win streak, being able to play with legends in the game in 2022, winning the division, all the way to this day forward. You guys have had my back and gave me great support from a kid that wasn't a high prospect at all. You guys embraced me like I was, and St. Louis was a special place. It's the only place I've ever known, and I bought a house there and everything, and this is tough, but I just want to thank you guys so much for everything that you guys have done. You guys mean way more to me than I've ever meant to you guys, and thank you.
Yeah, pretty simple. He got a little choked up.
Yeah,
I think Lars Nootbaar wanted to stay in St. Louis, but he's going to the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Tired of big corporate repair shops? J&J Auto and Tire is family owned and St. Louis proud. 16 years of honest answers, even when it's not what you want to hear. Digital inspections sent straight to your phone, videos and photos of exactly what we found. No guesswork, no pressure, just a trained service advisor helping you make the right call. Contactless drop-off, loyalty rewards, fleets welcome. All backed by a 2-year, 24,000-mile warranty. J&J Auto and Tire on Page and Overland. Honest repairs, real people. Book today. JamandJAuto.com.
Hello, Kirk Hilsinger, Chairman of the Republican Party, City of St. Louis. We are urging everyone to get out and vote this August primary. We need your vote every election. We remind you to vote yes on Amendment 4. Stop out-of-town money from being used to bypass your elected state legislators. And vote yes on Amendment 5. Tell businesses fleeing high-tax states like Illinois that Missouri is open for business and help lower our income and personal property taxes. Help us fight democratic socialism in its backyard by visiting stl-gop.com and donate, come to a meeting, or volunteer to help out.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Andrew Krepuschetz, CEO of Red Balloon and the new military hire.
Well, it turns out for veterans, many of the skills, knowledge, and abilities that they've achieved while protecting our freedom don't line up with the keywords that corporations are looking for. So it's not actually a skill gap, it's a translation gap. So they are using different words for their skills than the corporations are looking for.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Is diabetes keeping you from enjoying life's special moments? At U.S. Med, we understand the challenges you face, and we're here to help.
With U.S. Med, I can finally manage my diabetes without it managing me.
U.S. Med offers a wide range of services to simplify your diabetes care. Personalized care plans, convenient access to cutting-edge diabetes tech, and knowledgeable support. Plus, we'll check your insurance so your diabetes care may be covered at little or no cost to you.
With U.S. Med, I feel confident and control of my diabetes. I can finally live my life to the fullest.
Don't let diabetes hold you back. Choose U.S. Med and experience better birthdays, better adventures, better anniversaries, and better everything. Call now. U.S. Med. Better service, better care. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go. And pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
I'm Rich Thomason. It is their last chance to avoid utter destruction, so says President Trump, who says the talks are underway again with Iran, although Iran denies that. The president says that Gulf allies pleaded with him to give diplomacy yet another chance.
It was going to be a massive attack. It was going to be an attack that would have been by far the biggest attack since World War II, but they've asked us not to do it. They said, please don't do it, and their neighbors said that too. And so we're just going to see whether or not we can make a deal.
Meanwhile, a cargo ship reports being hit by some sort of projectile overnight in the Strait of Hormuz. A 37-year-old man stands accused of intentionally starting one of 3 destructive wildfires in Spokane, Washington, the suspect being held on $1 million bond. President Trump is not pleased with the U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C.
I was disappointed with Jeanine Pirro, really disappointed with Jeanine Pirro. She folded like an umbrella, and people get away with things, and it's a disgrace.
The president says Pirro choked in moving to drop charges against a man who had been accused of vandalizing the reflecting pool. Michigan has joined Minnesota reporting cyber attacks on water plants. Speculation that Iranian interests may be involved. Authorities insist, though, that all the targeted facilities are operating safely. It's a big day for primary voting. Contests in a number of states, including a closely watched Democratic U.S. Senate contest in Michigan. Congresswoman Haley Stevens, backed by the party's establishment wing, facing leftist progressive Abdul El Sayed, the latter leading in the polls. Later this morning, the Senate Judiciary Committee expected to approve the Attorney General nomination of acting AG Todd Blanche. On Wall Street, the Dow futures up 279 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 223. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
When I was feeling the stress of too much credit card debt, I looked at two different options, debt settlement and debt management. They may sound the same, but guess what? They're not. Debt settlement seemed like a quick fix, but I found out it would destroy my credit, create tax headaches, and hit me with huge fees. They actually told me to stop paying my bills. No way, not me. Then I turned to a debt management plan developed by the team at Trinity. They worked with my creditors, lowered my payments, reduced my interest, saved me thousands, and paid off my debt. And Trinity is a Christian company, which is important to me.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. A beautiful afternoon. Temperatures towards the upper 80s, mostly sunny skies. Then into Wednesday, things are looking dry until the evening hours. Could be seeing some showers and storms looking scattered. Those could have some stronger winds towards the overnight hours late Wednesday. And then into Thursday, looking at scattered chances off and on. Isolated chance into Friday, drying by the weekend as temperatures climb back towards the upper 80s and lower 90s. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Business owners, download your free playbook for financial clarity at SerenityWealthBiz.com. That's SerenityWealthBiz.com.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli. We're sitting here with our great friend, Chris Cooper. Hi, Chris.
What's going on, Vic? How are you?
I hear you wrote another book. This one's an e-book. Is that right?
The Business Owner's Playbook for Financial Clarity. So it is a great book for entrepreneurs. It's a very short guide. Give people, business owners, the ability to understand key questions that are important, such as succession planning, legacy planning, getting the IRS out of our pockets, right? Because do you like paying taxes?
I do not.
I don't think anybody likes paying taxes, right? That just makes sense. And then always talking about protection. And then the other thing from a business owner perspective, what is the biggest asset a business owner has? Probably their business itself, right? We need to make sure we understand what the value of that business is as well.
So this new book, I'm sure, is incredibly expensive, right? How much?
No, it's a free resource.
Oh, it's free.
We provide guidance, we provide education because we want to make sure people feel educated and understanding because sometimes you don't know what questions to ask, and we need to make sure we help arm people with information to ask the right question.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
News, analysis, opinion.
Don't always agree, but in love listening to your radio station.
This is tyrannical stuff they're doing.
Elections have consequences.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Are you being intentionally dense?
Huh? Susie Moore.
Have you ever been mistaken for a man?
No. Have you?
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
We're a different kind of clown show.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, just in case anybody didn't know, it's Election Day.
No.
I'm telling you.
Seriously?
We are on top of the news here.
We are.
That's what we do. That's what we do. Susie, just a few minutes ago, I was telling Jerome I was at my baseball game last night, and one of my teammates was like, he was all sheepish, and he was like, I'm embarrassed. I didn't even know that Tuesday was Election Day because he was saying, are you going to be at the game on Tuesday night? Well, no, because I'm going to be involved in some of the coverage here.
Sure.
And so, that's just the way it is. And he goes, I didn't even know it was Election Day. And I'm like, you live in Illinois. It's not Election Day for you.
Oh, I was like,
I'm like,
do you live under a rock?
No,
How can
you just
can't escape it even if you want to.
Right. So I'm like, it's because it's not a thing where it's, it's not, they're not fired up in Granite City right now, so I'm like, don't worry about it. So that's where we are. So here's what I'm asking. If you've already voted or if you're going to the polls today, and I hope you are, what is it that's driving you to get there? What's like the big race or the big races or the big questions? So send us a note. You can call me at 314-912-1019, or you can, obviously message us, put something on the social media. What is it that's valuable and important to you to say, absolutely, I'm going to be at the polls, which opened 7 minutes ago in Missouri. So those are open right now. So let me kind of give you the preview of what we're doing. This is expected to be one of the largest primary election turnouts in recent Missouri history. Definitely going to be the biggest in over 20 years. Secretary of State Denny Hoskins is going to be with us at 6:35. Give us that kind of overview and how well prepared the state is for this.
They say they think it'll be even bigger than like 2022?
Yes. They think it's going to be the biggest since 2004.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, 2004 was a presidential election year.
And they think the turnout's going to be as big or maybe even bigger. They're talking about 1.4 million primary votes across Missouri, which is really big.
What is driving that?
4 and 5.
Really?
Yeah. And then, of course, probably elevated turnout by Democrats in the 1st Congressional District as well. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what. So we'll talk to Denny about that. Secretary Hoskins about that at 6:35. So that's coming up. But let me kind of give you the preview, because I was trying to decide, every election day, how do we cover this? What's the way that we do this? Let me tell you what we're not going to do. We are not going to do all of these last-minute candidate interviews. I don't have a single one scheduled today.
No.
The candidates have had a chance to make their case to you. You vote for them, you vote against them, whatever. But I did not fill up today with the last minute. If they haven't won you over by now, they're probably not going to. So I just didn't book any of that today. But I do want Susie to at least one time every hour, because we're going to be constantly dipping back into election coverage. I want to hear what St. Louis is having to say about it. So we've got our thoughts on the big issues, which we'll get into here in a minute. But I really want to hear from everybody else. Let me know what the turnout looks like where you are. Let me know what's driving you and the people around you to the polls.
Yes. I plan on going, I think, on my way back home from the station.
Yeah.
Just so I'll see.
Now, I don't know what it's like in St. Charles County, because I've never voted there since I live in St. Louis County. But one of the features that I really like in St. Louis County, I can go anywhere and vote.
I don't think we have that.
Yeah, there aren't too many counties like that.
No, and I just remember my polling place just changed last time around. And thankfully, I guess it's the same place it was last time, but it was hard to find last time.
Yeah, well, wasn't there some road construction or something? That wasn't
No,
yours.
it was the GPS doesn't take you to the right spot, and it wasn't clearly marked, and it was like, am I in the right spot?
Yeah, in St. Louis County, like for instance, I don't have to go all the way back to Richmond Heights to vote. I'm probably going to run up to the elementary school up here off of McKelvey, which is right by the radio station. So I can go swing up there, do my vote, and come back and finish my work and do that. But in St. Louis County, as long as you've got your photo ID and you're a registered voter, you can go anywhere in the county and vote in your local race. I really
that is
like
convenient.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think I still have the ideal of the closer you are, the more localized you are, the better off. But I appreciate the convenience of that.
Yep. Okay. So around the room today, let's start with us personally, and then we can look at the bigger picture. Most important race or races or issues on the ballot to you right now?
To me, it's 4.
Okay.
To me, that's like a critical structural governance thing that a lot of things kind of flow after. And there's candidate races that I'm interested in, but that one to me is the key.
I'll decide on the way there based on the signs that I see.
That's a good, there you go. That's the way it should be. Absolutely.
Whoever's got the best sign gets my votes.
Okay, fair. And what defines what's the best sign? Like, is it the color scheme or is it
whatever stands out the most?
Kind of like some people pick their sports teams.
Yeah, like whoever has the best mascot for a sports team, that's
right?
what I bet on. Well,
gotcha.
Same thing with these signs. It's like, hey, that's a nice sign, and you got my vote.
I'm not gonna lie. The mascots for this, my daughter won the family March Madness brackets once just by doing that when she was little.
Yeah,
it actually happened. She thought UConn had the cutest puppy dog mascot, and they won it that year. So it happens.
Yeah,
I saw a video of a guy, I don't run it for state, I don't know who it was, but he was looking for the vote yes on Amendment 5 yard signs, and then he was going up and putting his signs on either side of him 3 inches away to cover him up, because that's how people think on some of these things.
that behavior
is just stupid.
It annoys me.
It's petty and it's stupid.
I'm not typically a violent person, but it really makes me want to thork people.
Yes.
Thork?
Fork.
Yeah, that's where you do the
fork
with your thumb, your finger, and you smack them like
on the head.
Like flicking.
Yes.
I call it thorking.
Yep.
I like thorking. That's cool.
That's a better. Thorking is a better word.
You knew what I meant.
I knew exactly what you're talking
Generational.
about. Yes. Okay, so to me, I agree, Susie. I think Amendment 4 is the most important thing on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. Keep in mind, because there's been a very, very direct, targeted approach to try to drive confusion among conservatives, and I'm concerned that it's working. Understand that if you vote against Amendment 4, you are teaming up with Planned Parenthood, you are teaming up with the ACLU, you are teaming up with the labor unions, especially the teachers' unions, which are the most radically left-wing ones out there. You are teaming up with some of the most left-wing radical organizations out there. But keep in mind, you're teaming up with Planned Parenthood and the ACLU if you vote against Amendment 4. Amendment 4 is absolutely critical. And remember, conservatives, you've been demanding initiative petition reform for years, and we've been frustrated it hasn't done. It's been delivered, and this is maybe the most modest version we could get. I think it should be even higher.
It's very bare bones, yeah.
This is, so there have been all kinds of lies. I said it earlier, I don't want this to discourage anybody, but let's just call it what it is. We're going to lose Amendment 5. I mean, it's just, I don't even know that it's necessarily going to be close. But Amendment 4 is worth getting to the polls to vote for.
Oh, absolutely, it is. I mean, I think they both are, but I think
I'm voting for Amendment 5.
I think it's a tougher call.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where, like I try to explain it to people, like based on the concepts, not who's for it and who's against it, because that's what I'm getting back. The people that are opposing it in response to me, well, it's because these people are pushing it. These people are pushing it, and I'm like, okay, set that aside.
Right.
Look at the actual measure. Do you not agree there should be at least a little bit higher bar for a change to our structure, to our Constitution? That's it.
Right.
That's all it is.
And those who say this is taking our power to, no, it's not.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, and that's been lost in the conversation. You can still put a referendum on the ballot and with 50% plus one, change a law or write a law or delete a law. You can still do that.
Completely.
Nothing of that changes whatsoever.
I know.
But that's been lost.
Our friend Scott called in just to let us know. So he got there at 6, so he could be there right when it opened. But he said as he was leaving the polling places, people are already starting to flood in already. And it makes him very proud that people are out there at least exercising their rights.
Yeah.
So,
good.
Good morning to you, by the way, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
I would love to be wrong on my prediction. Don't get me wrong. I'm voting for 5. Don't get me wrong. I'm voting for 5. I'm just trying to be really realistic on it. My hope is that we still have a chance to get 4 done. If we don't get it done this year, I don't know that we get it done.
Yeah, got to strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah.
And you also have to make sure that you are keeping up to date on what's going on with Election Day. Election night coverage is going to be here live on NewsTalkSTL starting at 7 p.m. We'll be broadcasting live as Missouri's election results come in, keeping listeners informed the moment updates are released. Tune in for real-time coverage, expert analysis, and the latest developments throughout Election night. The broadcast, as I said, begins at 7.
I've had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away.
Summer is here at Daniel's Farm and Greenhouses on Juggerman in St. Peters. Discover our breathtaking 55,000 square feet of greenhouses featuring 8,000 hanging baskets, hundreds of perennials, and 100,000 pots of colorful annuals. From vegetable plants to premium grass seed, mulch to herbs, our knowledgeable staff is ready to answer all your questions. Start spring off right with pansies, potted tulips, and everything your garden craves. Daniel's Farm and Greenhouses. Visit us today on Juggerman or online at danielsfarmandgreenhouses.com.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC.
Hi, it's Ken Williams, and my favorite Capriati sandwich is the Capistrami. You've got hot pastrami, melty Swiss cheese, crunchy coleslaw, and zesty Russian dressing. What else do you need? I love Capriati's, and you will too. On Manchester at McKnight and Rock Hill, and now in Creve Coeur on Olive, just 1 mile west of 270.
tonight.
Missouri decides 2026.
All the results and reactions from the Missouri state primary.
You have to get out and vote.
From the voices you know and trust in St. Louis for election night coverage.
Amendment 4.
Amendment 5.
County executives.
Coverage begins tonight at 7 on St. Louis's conservative voice.
Right here.
News Talk STL. Brought to you by Fast Signs in Bridgeton, 21 Recycling in House Springs, Gemini Wealth Group, and Freddie's Market.
Steve Ellman leads St. Charles County. Ellman has fought for smart growth and moratoriums on apartments and data centers. Ellman doubled our parks, increased our conservation land, and helped create 50,000 new jobs. Ellman has built hundreds of miles of new roads. Ellman prioritized law enforcement and put officers in schools, making our county safest in the region. And Steve Ellman eliminated the county's real and now personal property taxes. While Steve Ellman leads, Bill Eigel misleads. Eigel promised to cut your property taxes for 8 years, but never did. Instead, he didn't pay his own taxes. Eigel was rebuked by President Trump's lawyer for misleading and scamming donors to pay for his campaigns. Eigel said he's against data centers, but he never voted to regulate data center abuses, but did vote to give tax dollars to benefit the company behind the St. Charles Data Center.
Paid for by the committee to elect Steve Ellman, Michael Summer Jr., Treasurer.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Producer Jerome says he's just reading the chat. But what isn't he telling you? Every week, Jerome asks listeners what songs they want to hear. He calls it Flashback Friday. Experts call it data collection. Jerome spends his days exploring artificial intelligence, digging through the dark web and asking suspiciously specific questions. Coincidence or reconnaissance? Jerome says it's all just research. That's exactly what someone researching the dark web would say. And then there's his so-called Viking heritage. Jerome wants you to believe that he's just unusually tall. But history teaches us Vikings didn't come to make friends. They came to invade. Don't let history repeat itself. Vote Susie Moore. Before it's too late.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
Man, these negative ads are brutal.
Yeah.
Are they targeting me? Are these targeted advertisements?
Now you know what it feels like, Mr. Mike-headed donut. Or two.
That was a really good one.
That was nice.
I was pleased with how it did come together and that I managed to figure out how to do the music bed underneath all by myself.
There might be a few of those throughout the day.
Yeah,
today.
there might be.
Okay. And if you want to hear the exchange that Jerome and I had yesterday, that's on our podcast right now.
Yeah, these will be going up on the podcast later too.
All right, 6:20 right now. Okay, get this. A Brentwood police officer is accused of using the Flock camera system to stalk his ex-wife.
Ooh.
Yeah. And apparently that is legal in Missouri.
What?
Yeah. All right. So we're going to give you all the details here in just a moment. Obviously, a big day, not just here, but across the country as well. A lot of things unfolding in the courts, a lot of stuff happening around the world. RedState.com is where you can keep up with all of that, not just from that news writing, but also some of that opinion writing as well. So, Susie, if I go to RedState.com today, what should I start with?
This is the Red State Rundown.
Start out today with this. It's right on the top of the page. Rusty Weiss has this one. World top female tennis player follows Sophie's lead, demands testing to keep men out of her sport. So we're seeing more high-profile female athletes speak up and say, yeah, no.
Is it just becoming safer?
It is.
Knowing that so much of the public is on their side?
Yes. Yeah, it is becoming safer. And so, and even like the repercussions for stepping out and saying stuff aren't as bad as they were.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. We are seeing more of that, and that's good to see. Kind of along the same lines, Bob Hogue has this one. Outkick founder Clay Travis has a $10 million challenge for WNBA leftists. Prove your point or pipe down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people are actually engaging in this and pushing back, and I think that's a good thing.
Which, you know what's really weird is this might be the best thing that's happened to the WNBA.
It's true.
For the simple reason that if it weren't for the Mean Girl drama or the lesbian soap opera, nobody would care what's happening in the WNBA at all.
Yeah.
The Babylon Bee's having a field day with it. But,
Right.
I mean, the reality is I can name like one team on there and nobody cares other than stuff like this.
Yep. Well, that's a point too. Maybe not in a good way, but also this is an important one. Jennifer Oliver O'Connell has it. It's They Kept Me Like a Slave. Teen says Becerra's child migrant program ended in sexual abuse. We're seeing more and more come out about just the travesty of the human trafficking that was going on under the Biden administration, because there was such a volume of people coming into the country. That There was no checks in place. There was really nothing to protect particularly vulnerable individuals. And Becerra, who of course is the nominee for governor in California, was front and center in the middle of all that. So this is all kind of coming out.
And by the way, on a related note, at 8:05, because I couldn't fit it in before then, but at 8:05, there's a school district in St. Louis County, a public school district, that's bragging about how they have a plan to fight back against ICE and keep ICE away from doing law enforcement in anything related to the school district.
Okay.
So, yeah. So 8:05, you definitely want to be that, because the most left wing of the local TV stations, which is Channel 5 KSDK, they did the story, and it was just Politburo propaganda. There wasn't even a hint of journalism, as you would expect from Channel 5. So 8:05, since you've got that story on RedState.com, just to let you know, if that boils your blood, we're doing that at 8:05. All right, 6:23 right now. So here's what's going on. A cop in St. Louis County, Brentwood Police Department, apparently abuses the flock camera system, gets caught, but is not facing prosecution. That doesn't mean he's not facing consequences, but he's not facing prosecution. Okay, so Russell Kinsall did the story on this. So let me start with Russell's story here on this. Here are some of the basic details.
The St. Louis County Police Department was called in to investigate and found nothing criminal had taken place. The city of Brentwood released a statement saying the investigation regarding this matter has been closed following Brentwood Police Department's cooperation with St. Louis County and the prosecuting attorney's office. And this is a personnel issue. We are unable to comment further. But the woman's boyfriend filed a third-party complaint, and Brentwood Police Chief Joseph Spees sent a letter in response that said our internal investigation revealed sustained policy violations.
Okay, so the background is the woman who was interviewed on KMOV. Now, they didn't identify her because she's worried. So apparently she was married to the cop for 15 or 17 years. It was a terrible breakup, acrimonious divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And he has been caught because apparently, well, she says he admitted in an argument because he's been following her around and then angry that she was with other people and said that he admitted he'd logged into the flock camera system, ran her plates, and tracked where she was. And then her current boyfriend, now that she's divorced, filed the complaint. And they showed the letter in the story, which clearly says there were policy violations. So they say he violated the policy of the Brentwood Police Department or the city of Brentwood, but he didn't violate the law.
Okay, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Can anyone log into the system and see anyone's like
in the public, you mean?
Yes.
No.
So this is something that as a police officer he had special access to.
Correct. Yes.
There are ways people can get into the flock cameras as a non-law enforcement person, though.
I feel like I've seen people talking about that.
They hacked into them?
It's surprisingly easy.
Well,
to do.
yeah, like it wasn't even like so much a hack as here's how you can access this information. Like the general public can access CaseNet, which is where like the Missouri court system, okay, and we can access things. Lawyers have a higher tier access, but more permissions, so there you can get in and get more detailed information. But it's I wasn't sure if there's like a tier of the platform of Flock that's open where people can look at it.
In some states, I was reading an article on this just a couple days ago before I heard about this, that somebody actually requested a Freedom of Information Act request for flock camera information because they said, I got hit and there was a camera right there.
Sure.
And it turns out in whatever state that was, I don't know about Missouri or Illinois, but in whatever state that was in, that's actually by law not considered public information.
So that is interesting because so then there's no question then that this officer was abusing his position and his access for non-work related purposes, and should be disciplined for that.
Okay, so here's the follow-up part to Russell Kinsol's report on KMOV.
The founder and CEO of the company acknowledges some officers have misused the camera system, but that a new audit feature was helping to catch the abusers.
It's a disappointing story when I see it, but I also go, look, this is working. This is showing that if you use a tool like Flock or other tools, you should be held accountable, regardless of whether you have a badge or you don't.
Recently, police officers have been convicted of inappropriately accessing cameras for personal use in Kansas, Wisconsin, Georgia, and North Carolina. But Missouri and Illinois do not have laws that make it illegal to use flock cameras to stalk someone.
Okay, by the way, that story is up on their YouTube page and also on their social media. It was very balanced because they start off saying flock cameras have been used to solve a number of crimes and gave a local example. So both sides of the argument were presented in that article.
Our friend Dave's got some thoughts on this.
Okay, Dave, I got about 2 minutes. Just to let you know.
Oh, that's not long enough, but I'll go with it. Hey, I won't name that idiot Tony Messenger.
Sure.
But I don't know if you saw the article that he put in the paper that a woman from Chesterfield got a restraining order, and that saved her life. Really, Tony Messenger? Are you that stupid? Because there's laws against murder, you idiot, and yet people still kill each other. So come on, just stop. Restraining orders are only as good as the person who served with it, and they obey it. Now, where am I going at with this flock camera stuff with this police officer? The same thing applies, okay? The same exact thing applies. As long as you do what you're supposed to be doing. Now, if we remember correctly, we had a local chief of police that ran over 1,000 people. Now, I guarantee you, if that was a patrolman or a sergeant, anybody that wasn't a command rank or above would have been criminally prosecuted. Oh, no, not this guy. He gets a payday in retirement. Now, I hope this cop, well, what he did was extremely stupid. I hope he drags in this other argument for the previous chief of police getting a payday and not getting, you see the double standards right there?
Oh, there's a huge double standard. And remember, like Russell just reported there, in Missouri and Illinois, it's actually not illegal. It may be against their policies. The worst that can happen, he's going to get fired. And I can't imagine the union's going to let that happen. But it's actually not illegal in Missouri or Illinois. It's wrong, but it's not illegal.
Well, and here, I don't want people to think I am defending this police officer.
Sure.
I am not. Not at all. All I can say to men and women, move on if your spouse wants to be X. There's plenty of men and women in the sea to pick from. Just go on, folks. And that's from the bottom of my heart because it's easy to get caught up in crap. Just anyway, my personal opinion.
I get it.
Anyway, guys, love the show. Jerome, I didn't realize that you were one of those dark web weirdos.
Oh, see, the tech has worked.
It worked. He's going to vote for me.
I was always on young Jerome's side, and now Susie's pulled me to her dark side.
I'm petitioning to put a flock camera outside your house right now.
You wouldn't want to watch the activity in my house. I'm extremely boring, brother.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Guys, thank you. Enjoy the show.
Missourians are making some big decisions today. We're talking to the state's top election official, Secretary of State, Denny Hoskins, coming up here at 6:35.
Are you going to be jealous of the upcoming holiday weekend and other people have a nice deck to have their barbecue on and you're like, I should have that at my house? Well, you can. Contact my friends at STL Fenceworks. Mike Ferguson here for STL Fenceworks. The website, stlfenceworks.com. Real quick, I'm going to pitch this again. Go to their estimate button, and you can actually get a virtual look at what that new fence would look like around your property. And here's the thing with STL Fenceworks. First of all, they've been here in St. Louis for decades. Look up their Yelp, look up their Better Business Bureau rate. What you're going to find is they've got an excellent reputation because they do excellent work. They're part of the St. Louis community. They have American crews, and they use American-made products and workmanship that are guaranteed. This is not a fly-by-night thing. saying, hey, yeah, we'll put up a fence, and then they're going to move on to the next town. That ain't what happened. They are part of St. Louis and have been for decades. They do the job right. So go to stlfenceworks.com, find out why what they do is different. You've got specially treated materials that withstand the weather better, withstand the bugs. You don't have to get out there and stain it and treat it every couple of years or so. Long-lasting, dollar for dollar, what a great value you're going to get. Tell them that Mike was bragging about it on the radio. See what they can do for you. stlfenceworks.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Hey, if you plan on voting after work, listen to David Stokes at 420 as he gives one last preview of the local issues you'll see on your ballot.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. A beautiful afternoon. Temperatures towards the upper 80s, mostly sunny skies. Then into Wednesday, things are looking dry until the evening hours. Could be seeing some showers and storms looking scattered. Those could have some stronger winds towards the overnight hours late Wednesday. And then into Thursday, looking at scattered chances off and on. Isolated chance into Friday, drying by the weekend as temperatures climb back towards the upper 80s and lower 90s. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydratech H2O leaves you with great tasting, soft water at all fixtures in your home with one unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
Tony Colombo here for All Solutions Pest Control, the team Christine and I trust to protect our home. We've used multiple services at multiple homes over the years, and I can tell you from all that experience, All Solutions is second to none. If you have a pest problem of any kind, or more importantly, just want to prevent a problem, All Solutions is the team to call. Learn more and take advantage of their incredible $67 introductory offer right now at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Travis Wilson here, State Representative from District 106 in St. Charles, Missouri's first state capital. I wanted to remind everyone that we have a crucial primary election coming up on Tuesday, August 4th. No excuse, in-person voting has already begun, and I'd appreciate your vote to continue my service for the great people of St. Charles. For more information on early voting or to learn more about me and the important issues facing Missouri, visit me on Facebook at Wilson for St. Charles. Thank you, and may God continue to bless the state of Missouri.
Paid for by Wilson for St. Charles. Merle Schneider, Treasurer.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
It is awesome.
And listen anytime.
Love the News Talk STL app.
Anywhere.
There are many reasons not to vote for Susie Moore, besides her coke problem. But just listen to what her own constituents have to say about her.
I once saw Susie Moore intentionally ram her car door into Jerome's Jeep. Susie tried bribing me to lie to Jerome and tell him that the wind accidentally blew her door open.
Susie Moore is the senior editor for RedState. You know what else is a red state? China. Haven't we had enough fangs for one lifetime?
For years, Mike Ferguson and I had a great thing going. Until Susie Moore came in and Yoko owned the whole thing.
Don't get schmoozed by Schmoozy Q. Vote Jerome. He'll work for you.
I'm producer Jerome, and I approve this message.
Do we want to get right?
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. Hope you had enough time to freshen up your coffee, because now we're back with Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I wouldn't vote for me either.
Not after that ad. Just saying. Oh, man. All right, polls opened about 36 minutes ago. They're open until 7 p.m. Now, this is one of the more important primary elections in recent memory for Missouri. We're now joined by Missouri Secretary of State Denny Hoskins. Denny, thanks so much for being on the program. Let me start with just some of the raw numbers. I want to get into the prep for this, and obviously there's been a lot of back and forth on some of the ballot issues and the ballot language on that. I read multiple reports today. You're anticipating maybe not a record turnout, but a pretty darn big one at this point.
Yes, most certainly. We expect a turnout of about 32%. So all the local election authorities and county clerks send in their predictions for actual turnout for our elections. Obviously, early voting started about 2 weeks ago. Today's election day. Make sure you get out there and vote. Some of the local election authorities had said 20% turnout, and some had said up to 70%. I think a lot of it depends on what local races that you have going. I know that there's a lot of contested primaries, whether it's Republican or Democrat, whether it's St. Louis County Executive, St. Charles County Executive, as well as Congressional District 1 over on the St. Louis side. But just throughout the state, Sam Graves has retired from being congressman in CD6, and so there's a pretty contentious primary up there. And then also there's quite a few state Senate primaries around the state that are pretty contentious as well.
Good morning, Secretary Hoskins. This is Susie Moore.
Good morning.
Quick question. We've been doing the early voting thing now for a while in Missouri. Are we seeing that people are getting more and more in the habit of doing of availing themselves of that option? Is there more of a distribution so people are not all crowding in on Election Day?
Yes, I think there is. I think a lot of it's just been information that people know that they can get out and vote 2 weeks early. I mean, it used to be that you had to have an excuse, whether you're going to be out of town that day, and they would ask you what your excuse was. We don't have that anymore. So I think it's become a lot more common that people realize that, hey, I can go vote up to 2 weeks early. I don't have to vote on Election Day, and it's been very popular. And that's one of the reasons that we've seen, I think, record numbers as far as early voting goes. And then also Amendment 4 and Amendment 5. I mean, you can't listen to the radio, watch TV, get your mail without there being some information, either pro Amendment 4 and Amendment 5, by which I voted yes on both 4 and 5 or against them. There's just been a lot of information out there, and it's been a very heated topic, that's for sure. We are visiting with Missouri Secretary of State Denny Hoskins. Okay, then obviously the whole bottom line of this is that we need to make sure that we've got elections that we know we're getting accurate results and they're counting right, the integrity of it. How well across the state do you feel the election officials, the election authorities are prepared for not just the turnout, but also to make sure that every vote is counted accurately? I think Missouri does a pretty good job. Our local election authorities and county clerks do a pretty good job. They test the equipment. We at the Secretary of State's office, we actually have a war room that anyone can call, and if you see something that just doesn't appear right, you can call the Secretary of State's office and we can look into that. There are war rooms filled with our election team as well as our IT team. There's other states that are having their primary elections day today as well, including the state of Kansas, I believe, and Michigan. So we keep track of what other states are going through, if they're seeing computer hackers trying to hack into their system, particularly today. I mean, every day we have computer hackers trying to hack into our voting system. And I think sometimes we forget that there are faces behind these computer hackers. This isn't just some common cold virus. This is a computer virus that somebody's sitting behind a keyboard with probably 5 or 6 screens and trying to hack into our computer systems. But overall, I think we do a pretty good job here in the state of Missouri versus other states. One of the things that I've been really focusing on is cleaning up the voter rolls. And so over the last 18 months, we've taken off over 280,000 ineligible voters off the voter rolls. That includes former Missourians, deceased, non-citizens, and felons. We've also been working with some of our surrounding states, including the state of Kansas, where we take our voter rolls and compare with their voter rolls because we don't want someone registered in both states. And like I said, Kansas's primary election is today as well. I've also said we don't want any Jayhawks crossing the state line on both Missouri elections. That's for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And Denny, quick follow-up on that because, we've heard, accusations for years. When we go to vote, you mentioned those hackers. Are those tabulators, those voting machine tabulators, are any of those susceptible to the hacking? Is there anything that's online when I go to vote in whatever station I'm at? What's the danger and what's the protection if there is a danger on that? No, they're for the most part not connected to the internet. However, I've always said that any electronic device could be hacked into, unfortunately. But we've not experienced that or had any credible evidence of that going on since I've taken over in 2024. So, we're always on the lookout, and we always want to be cautious. But like I said, for the most part, I think our elections are pretty secure here in the state of Missouri. We do a post audit. Our local election authorities do that, hand counting up to 5% of the ballots. It's no secret that I do believe in hand counting, and hopefully I can work with the legislature maybe to increase that post-audit amount, either to double or triple that. I think that would lead some folks here in the state of Missouri to help trust our elections, that they are fair and accurate.
You've touched on this somewhat, but I mean, obviously, one of the emphasis of the Trump administration has been election integrity. There have been a lot of initiatives undertaken to try and foster election integrity throughout the U.S. Has Missouri had to make any specific adjustments in relation to either executive orders or, guidance coming from the Department of Justice, anything like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. For the most part, we have met or exceeded every executive order that Trump has proposed, except providing proof of citizenship in order to vote. And so obviously we've seen a lot of back and forth between the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate in Washington, D.C. about passing the Save America Act that would require proof of citizenship in order to vote here in the state of Missouri. Here in the state of Missouri, all you have to do is you just check a box that says I'm a citizen. Well, I disagree with that. I think that you should have to provide proof of citizenship. We have complied with the SAVE database. In fact, we were one of the first states to comply with the SAVE database. So we sent our voter rolls, and they compared them with the Social Security Administration, compared with the Department of Homeland Security database. And we did have about 1,000 individuals that came back that we could not confirm were citizens or non-citizens. So we've been working with our local election authority in order to see if in fact, those folks are citizens or non-citizens.
Okay, Denny, we got a couple questions from our audience that have come in. Let me start with the one regarding, you mentioned Amendments 4 and Amendments 5. The courts have rewritten the ballot language on those quite a bit. That's on the, that's actually on the ballot, not the proposal themselves. Do you feel that that is possibly affecting either voter turnout or voters' understanding of those particular issues? Because there were some somewhat significant changes that the courts made to the ballot language.
There were some significant changes, and I know folks have said, well, they have rewritten your summary of both 4 and 5. And what I've said is, hey, if we all said, look out at the sky and what color is the sky on a scale of 1 to 10, and some people might say, well, it's a 6, and some people may say it's a 5. Well, is one person right and one wrong? No, not really. We just have a difference of opinion. Yes, my proposed language, I believe, was better than the language that is currently on the ballot, but that's a matter of opinion. And with Amendment 4, I've always said that I think it needs to be a little bit harder to put something in the Missouri Constitution. We have bingo in the Missouri Constitution. We have hundreds and hundreds of pages about marijuana in the Missouri Constitution. I've always said it needs to be a little bit harder. And as a state rep and a state senator, I proposed bills and things in order to make it a little bit harder. And on Amendment 5, they did take out some of the language as far as, hey, when we gradually decrease the state income tax and increase sales tax, if there is an overage, then that overage would go also to decrease personal property taxes and real estate taxes. And so they took out some of the language for that I wish that the courts would have left in there.
Okay, so I'm going to go just a hair over here. Another question came in because there's also the petition verification, the signatures regarding the redistricting measure and trying to put that up for a vote. That deadline's today, I think. What's the update on that?
Yeah, that deadline is today. The deadline is today at 5 p.m. And so I will actually have a decision later on today, this afternoon. I've always said, hey, I do question the constitutionality of doing a referendum on congressional redistricting. I mean, the dates just don't make sense. It doesn't make sense that the deadline for the referendum is the same date as the actual primary election. So, I've had great conversations with my general counsel, deputy general counsel, as well as the attorney general's office. And so we will be putting forth something later this afternoon.
All right. Denny Hoskins, Missouri Secretary of State. You got a busy day today. I appreciate you giving us about 10 minutes of it.
Yes. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. All right. President Trump's angry at one of his appointees. Find out which one and why at 6:50.
NewsTalkSTL. Always streaming on your smart speaker, our mobile app, or NewsTalkSTL.com.
When Donald Trump needs conservative votes to help pass his agenda for Missouri, Representative Trisha Burns never answers the call. Trisha Burns has missed 370 votes. Burns is bucking President Trump's priorities. Burns did not vote to stop DEI initiatives, prevent China from owning Missouri land, defund Planned Parenthood, and Burns did not vote to ban boys from girls' sports. Trisha Burns not showing up for Missouri and President Trump. Instead, Trisha Burns spends her time pulling pranks on the suicide prevention hotline. Yes, you heard that right. Trisha Burns lied to the police and staged a fake suicide emergency. She sent a series of messages to the hotline and said she, quote, had a gun to her head, end quote. When she got caught, she said there'd be no consequences because she's a politician. By August 4th, vote to show Trisha Burns that there are consequences to being bad at your job.
Let's Go Brandon PAC paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Chris Foss, Treasurer.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Stop before you dig. Click or call 811. Every dig, every time.
Planting a tree, building a fence. Before you dig, contact Missouri 811. It's free, it's easy, and it's the law. Submit a locate request at Missouri-811.org or simply call 811 3 days before digging. Dig smart, dig safe.
Stop before you dig. Click or call 811. Every dig, every time.
It's the law. Sponsored by Missouri 811.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, Chris Arp from the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
All right, Election Day is on.
Today.
It's on. All right, an area school district brags about their plan to work against ICE this coming school year.
Okay.
And the Cardinals roster looks different today. I called it. I said there was going to be some wheeling and dealing, and it happened. One of the more popular Cardinals, no longer a Cardinal. 650 right now. Let's go ahead and do a news dump.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Whistle Pig Outdoors. The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The Morning News Dump.
All right, as we've been talking about, the polls are open in Missouri. Election Day is underway, and as long as you are in line by 7 p.m., you can vote. Once 7 p.m. hits, if you are not in line, you don't get to vote. Now, with a 32% anticipated turnout, you should be pretty good shape.
You should be okay.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, a government school district in St. Louis County says it's prepared a plan to keep ICE away from illegals in the district. That story about the Rittenhour School District was featured on KSTK on Monday. Superintendent Chris Kilbride says they developed what they're calling a safety protocol to, and I'm using their word, protect students, staff, and contractors from ICE in case federal law enforcement tries to detain illegals who are on campus or at a district event.
I have questions.
Yes.
Are they implying that they have students, staff, and contractors who are illegal aliens? Or are they saying we just are worried that ICE might be attempting to detain illegal aliens in the middle of all of us, even though none of our people are illegal aliens, so we want to be safe?
100% the former. They're not even hiding it. I've got clips from it in 805. That's 100% the former of what you just said.
What the hell, Rittner?
Yeah. So I would suspect that now that this story is out there, that I would not be surprised if an attorney general at some level is going to take an interest in this.
I would think so. I mean, students, I think, are kind of on you got to kind of set that aside because kids aren't, they're not. It's not their responsibility.
ICE was looking with Hillsdale Police. They were looking for some students last school year.
I guess what I'm saying is, in terms of holding them responsible right now, and that they're not the ones who brought themselves here, I guess is my point. The students, I would put in their own category, but you're talking about employees and contractors that are illegal aliens. Isn't that against the law?
Yes. Yeah, and that was like a throwaway line in one of the clips, and it jumped out at me when KSTK wasn't focusing. I'm like, wait a minute, what did she just say? You can hear it for yourself at 8:05.
Forget the meatpacking plants. Look at the school districts.
Exactly. Okay, let's see here. President Trump facing Democratic backlash over his recently imposed tariffs on over 60 trading partners. And so this affects a lot of U.S. imports. Over 24 Democratic-led states now filing a lawsuit against the administration. Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays on what they hope to do with the lawsuit.
We are asking the Court of International Trade to block these tariffs, to declare them unlawful, and prevent the administration from continuing this pattern of overreach.
Okay.
Yep. This will, I imagine, be some sort of expedited hearing thing, but it'll go through multiple processes.
No, it'll go through the regular process.
Yeah.
There are statutes that authorize the executive to levy tariffs, so you can question whether or not he's doing it properly. That's fine.
Which is that's what they're going to argue.
Yeah,
about.
but they didn't like the one way he did it, so he's doing the other way that's there in the statute. Maybe Congress should change the statutes.
Congress should absolutely, and of course, I'm one of those that wishes he wouldn't do it at all because it's bad economics, but that's a whole different argument. That's an economic argument. All right, the Justice Department dropped charges against former Olympic canoeist David Hearn. He was accused of vandalizing the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool and blamed the damage on the contractor instead. Speaking during a signing ceremony for an executive order supporting military families, President Trump went after the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Jeanine Pirro, for dropping the charges.
I was disappointed with Jeanine Pirro, really disappointed with Jeanine Pirro. She folded like an umbrella.
Jeanine Pirro's office in the DOJ said, we have evidence that says he didn't do it, that it was a botched installation.
Yep. And Jeanine went to the White House yesterday.
Yeah. We're going to talk to Teri Christoph
yeah.
about that because she wrote the article on that as well. So I was a little. I shouldn't be surprised at Trump going off on anybody, but if the evidence is not there, the evidence.
Well, the only
not
thing
there.
that surprises me is that apparently there's a lack of communication.
Yeah.
Because if the evidence isn't there, the lawyers are bound to follow what the evidence shows.
Right.
So if that wasn't communicated clearly to the president, I don't know.
Yeah. All right. There were 10 home runs in Monday's Cardinals-Yankee game.
That's a lot.
Alec Burleson had 3 of them. Wow. At the end of the slugfest, the Redbirds ended up with the win. Final score at Yankee Stadium, 13-7. That's a football score right there. Nathan Church and Jimmy Crooks also had dingers. Second game of that series is this evening. That's going to be at 6:05. Lars Nootbaar is no longer a Cardinal. Man.
Sad.
Yeah, right before the trade deadline, he was dealt to the Diamondbacks for 2 minor league pitchers and a player to be named later. The Cardinals also traded pitchers Dustin May and J.J. Romero to the Brewers. They are getting 2 outfield prospects in exchange. I said it yesterday. Cardinals roster, especially pitching, was not going to look the same after the trade deadline. So I'm not surprised by Dustin May being traded at all. I think the Cardinals acquired him to hopefully get a few wins out of him and then use him as trade bait because he had such a great run with the Dodgers before he got hurt. And so I think that's what they're doing. What's unusual is Romero and Dustin May have been traded to another National League Central team. They're going to the Brewers, who at least there looks like they're going to get into the playoffs that way. And, man, Lars Nootbaar was emotional. I think he truly wanted to remain a Cardinal for his career. So he's an Arizona Diamondback now at this point.
Can you believe politicians nearly doubled state spending since 2019? Yeah, that's twice the rate of inflation.
What do we get for all that extra spending? Nothing.
Yeah, and get this, over 200 loopholes are buried in our tax code, written by lobbyists for wealthy corporations.
Our tax code is rigged against us.
We get taxed on our paycheck, our home, everything we buy.
I guess somebody's got to pay for all that spending.
That's why we need Amendment 5. It puts politicians on a leash.
Forces them to cut taxes and control spending, whether they like it or not.
Amendment 5 closes the loopholes, eliminates income taxes, cuts property taxes, and gives $3,000 a year to average working families.
We decide, not the politicians.
Amendment 5 is the biggest tax cut in Missouri history.
I'm voting yes on Amendment 5. Paid for by Missouri Promise PAC. Mark Ellinger, Treasurer.
Whatever the season, you always have a great reason to reach out to Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com for all your tree care needs and so much more. Tim Jones here to remind you Hanson's is your one-stop shop for expert insured tree care, amazing organic mulch, green resource recycling, land clearing, and so much more. Hanson services the entire St. Louis metro, and they also provide their full array of services in and around the Lake of the Ozarks. From tree care to storm cleanup to awesome mulch and more, check out Hanson's at hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
License number GL250000615.
You're cooking dinner. The lights go out. You flip the breaker and forget about it.
But what if it keeps tripping?
Trips once, your breaker's doing its job. Keeps tripping? That's a warning. Bad wiring or something worse.
Do people just keep flipping it?
Most do until they can't anymore.
Call Grasser. We'll stop the trip.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
Steve Ellman leads St. Charles County. Ellman has fought for smart growth and moratoriums on apartments and data centers. Ellman doubled our parks, increased our conservation land, and helped create 50,000 new jobs. Ellman has built hundreds of miles of new roads. Ellman prioritized law enforcement and put officers in schools, making our county safest in the region. And Steve Ellman eliminated the county's real and now personal property taxes. While Steve Ellman leads, Bill Eigel misleads. Eigel promised to cut your property taxes for 8 years, but never did. Instead, he didn't pay his own taxes. Eigel was rebuked by President Trump's lawyer for misleading and scamming donors to pay for his campaigns. Eigel said he's against data centers, but he never voted to regulate data center abuses, but did vote to give tax dollars to benefit the company behind the St. Charles Data Center.
Paid for by the committee to elect Steve Ellman, Michael Summer Jr., Treasurer.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. On the face of it, it doesn't appear that Iran is serious about making a war-ending deal with the U.S. President Trump says talks with Tehran have resumed, but Iran refuses to acknowledge such discussions, insisting there are no talks going on.
It is still unknown if a deal will be reached with Iran or if there will be a return to war. President Trump in the Oval Office telling reporters,
This is the last chance. This is not something that, if it doesn't happen, this is the last chance for them to sign a good document.
Laura Winters reporting.
Having to endure repeated deadly Russian drone and missile strikes, many of them on civilian targets, Ukraine is returning fire as it continues to refine and improve its drone technology. BBC Steve Rosenberg in Moscow.
Russian officials say that early this morning, an industrial park south of Moscow was attacked by drones. According to the governor of Moscow region, a fire broke out at a warehouse. He didn't say which company. An electricity substation and an administrative building were damaged too. There's been a drone attack near St. Petersburg. Russia's largest online retailer, Wildberries, confirmed that its warehouse there was on fire and that staff had been evacuated.
Russia blames Ukraine for deadly weekend bombing at a Moscow restaurant. 5 people killed, 19 injured. Authorities in fire-ravaged Spokane, Washington, are holding an accused arsonist on $1 million bond. 37-year-old man allegedly started one of 3 fires that have destroyed hundreds of homes, forcing 60,000 people to evacuate. A Senate committee expected to take a vote today to advance Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche's nomination to lead the Department of Justice. Watching Wall Street, Dow futures up 546 points. The NASDAQ futures ahead 331. S&P futures up 26 points. Townhall.com.
Progressive presents the Museum of You.
We begin our tour with a unique piece, a relic from the early big screen television era. Remarkable. Next, we find a juicer, which historians believe has only ever been used once. And finally, compact discs from the emo era. A rare find indeed.
Some things should be history, but until then, you could protect what's important to you and save by bundling your auto insurance with a renter's policy from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Alex Marlow cuts through the political spin of the Alex Marlow podcast.
The economics of illegal immigration is so dumb. It's so stupid for Americans. We want American dollars to stay in America. That's how the economy grows. But if I pay an illegal alien and they send 50% of it home, the money doesn't go to American businesses. It goes to another country. Why do we want that? It's a race to the far-left Islamist wing of the party.
Subscribe for free today on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
From the NewsTalkSTL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. A beautiful afternoon. Temperatures towards the upper 80s, mostly sunny skies. Then into Wednesday, things are looking dry until the evening hours. Could be seeing some showers and storms looking scattered. Those could have some stronger winds towards the overnight hours late Wednesday. And into Thursday, looking at scattered chances off and on. Isolated chance into Friday, drying by the weekend as temperatures climb back towards the upper 80s and lower 90s. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Window World of St. Louis. For replacement windows, doors, and siding, call 800-GET-WINDOWS. That's 800-GET-WINDOWS.
Hey, Columbo here, ready to take your next shot? Then head to Bluff City Outdoors, your destination for the best archery gear, from traditional equipment to compound bows to high-performance crossbows, all from the biggest names in archery like Hoyt, Matthews, 10 Point, and more. Whether you hunt, shoot target, compete in 3D, or just shoot for fun, make your next shot at Bluff City Outdoors. 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alden. Don't forget Bluff City has all your fishing and trapping needs covered as well. Follow them on Facebook and at BluffCityOutdoors.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Mike Ferguson.
I'm a stud. I'm ballsy. I don't take no from anyone.
Susie Moore.
I disagree on his assessment of the situation.
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, the holdouts get what they wanted, but they got it in writing this time, and it looks like Todd Blanche will become the next Attorney General of the United States. I mean, probably it's Washington, D.C. You never know what
You never know.
happen. But they got what they said they wanted, and but now they've got it in writing, essentially, is where we're at.
Bully for them.
Also, boy, I want to follow up on this thing with Jeanine Pirro. So you mentioned that looks like she rushed over to the White House after the president ripped into her, threw her under the bus in a big way. Was that fair? And what do we know from that? So we'll get into that. We've got Teri Christoph, our friend from RedState.com, here with us right now. Happened to have written about both of these articles. What a coincidence! Funny how that works right there. All right, Teri, let's start with the confirmation of Todd Blanche. You had the two senators who aren't going to be senators come January, were the holdouts, and what they said is we want for sure this weaponization fund, which they were calling basically a slush fund. We want that gone. Todd Blanche says, well, yeah, we're not going to do it. And they said, no, we want it in writing, basically. So looks like the deal was done. Is this just a matter of, well, Todd Blanche made a promise and we made him put it in writing? What's actually changed?
I think what changed, and good morning, thank you for having me on. I'm happy to be back here. I think what changed is that they sort of let Todd Blanche get in the driver's seat for a little bit. For a lot, it was just Donald Trump getting on to Truth Social and making, a lot of threats. And, often he gets action from those Truth Socials. So I think, it moves it along to a certain point. But obviously, John Cornyn and Tom Tillis, they're two lame ducks. They don't have Trump support, then they are going to make their last few months in office as miserable as possible for Donald Trump. And so what they've been doing is really holding it up on the anti-weaponization fund. And Todd Blanche has repeatedly told them, no, we're not going to move forward with this. This is not going to happen. But that wasn't good enough for them, and they've been stalling it. And I believe there's only 4 more days until they just all blow town here in D.C. and are gone for like 6 weeks. So Trump would like some of these things to happen, and getting Todd Blanche approved as Attorney General is one of them. So I think they just sort of changed tactics a little bit and stop with the Truth Social post and let Todd Blanche kind of take the driver's seat for a little bit. So he signed an order. He signed a letter saying that the Department of Justice was going to rescind this anti-weaponization fund, which has really only been in existence since May. And as far as I have researched, hasn't done anything at all. It hasn't paid out. It hasn't really done anything. It just exists at this point. And of course, Tillis and Cornyn say that they are deeply and dearly upset that there's no congressional oversight to how any of that money would be dispersed to people who could prove that they'd been targeted by the Biden administration. So it's quite a little bit of fun soap opera DC style, but I think it was really just to give Todd Blanche a chance to get on the path to confirmation. And from what I understand, there was a hearing this morning that would maybe get his nomination out of committee. So I guess we'll find out, pretty soon if Cornyn and Tillis are happy with this.
Yeah, Teri, I think you're right about that. I think that committee vote is maybe coming up like in an hour or so.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think I know the answer to this, but Cornyn and Tillis, both of them acknowledge that they don't have an objection to Blanche. There's no issue with him as the nominee. This is purely the political theater and I guess just the sour grapes, because I don't even know how, who's pushing so hard to push back against this fund when everyone kind of agreed, okay, maybe it was a good idea in theory, but ill-conceived the way it was rolled out, so it needs to kind of go back to the drawing board. Everyone kind of seemed to agree with that after, well, except for President Trump.
There was some pushback on the Republican
There was,
side.
but what I'm saying is overall there was like, okay, this didn't roll out very well. All right, we're going to go back to the drawing board. But yet Tillis and Cornyn dug in on this for some reason.
Well, I mean, I think Congress really likes to have a say in where money goes, and I do think there's a bit of that. These guys are guys that have been in D.C. a long time, and they don't want anything happening that they don't put their fingerprints all over. So I think it's a bit of that, but I think mostly it is sour grapes against Trump. I really do. I don't know that they have really great objections to people being some sort of reparation done for people that were harmed by the Biden administration. I can't imagine there's too many people on the right who think that's a bad thing. But I don't think they want Congress. They do want Congress to be involved in every step of the way, but they're just angry at Trump. I mean, he didn't endorse Cornyn. He endorsed Paxton in the Senate primary. So that's, they're just going to make it as tough as possible. Tillis has been a thorn in his side for forever, and now Cornyn. They're just a dynamic duo, and they know with the slim majority in the Senate that they have so much power right now, and Trump wants to get a lot done before the midterms. And, well, we know how that's going. We don't have the Save America Act, and so it's just going to be 4 more days, I think, of just kind of a little bit of craziness trying to get some of these things done. But Todd Blanche is going to get approved. I think it sounds like all of those barriers have kind of been broken down now, and he's on the glide path. He's going right in there for approval, which is good.
Okay, so just a side note here, the weaponization fund, with the order no more, were there any funds in it? What happens with any money that was earmarked or set aside for this?
Yeah, there's $1.8 billion worth of money. I mean, it's taxpayer money. Let's be honest here, taxpayer money that came out of a Trump lawsuit against his tax audits being released to the public. So those are monies that he's not going to get, but that were being earmarked. I don't know that anyone's ever said what happens with that money. So I suspect it goes into something that has basically the same purpose, but maybe is far less political and maybe has a little bit more oversight by more people than just the executive branch, something like that. But I don't know. That's a really good question. We need to keep our eye on that because there's going to be a pot of money out there that nobody's quite sure who has authority over.
Teri, we were kind of keeping an eye on yesterday the little back and forth between President Trump and Jeanine Pirro's office because obviously they elected to drop the charges against the former Olympian who was accused of vandalizing the reflecting pool, and the president was not pleased with that. What's the latest on that? Did we get any feedback or understanding of what happened after Jeanine Pirro went to the White House?
Yeah, I saw a report this morning that she actually did meet with the president. We weren't sure. There were some videos of her rushing into the West Wing of the White House, after he had said some of these things. But all we know is that, according to one source, I can't remember, it's like Politico, something like that they did meet. He didn't fire her, and she didn't offer her resignation. But other than that, I don't know what kind of compromise they came to. But clearly, he's been on a warpath. She went in on Friday. Her office dropped the charges against this guy, David Hearns. And I don't know. I've lived in D.C. a long time. Looking at David Hearns, I have a feeling he was up to no good, whatever he was doing there. But she thought that they didn't have enough evidence, or that whatever's happening in the reflecting pool is just bad. It was a bad job by the contractor, or whatever. So I think there's a couple layers to this, to be honest with you. I think the top layer is that she dropped the charges, and he thinks, he's sick of all the vandalism. They went nuts. I mean, we know the left went freaking nuts. CNN went nuts about the reflecting pool. It was just ridiculous. And so, some people came and they did some bad things, and I think he'd like to see some justice there. But I also think the subtext to it, the layer underneath that, is Pirro's office has been very critical of the contractor and the work that was done, and saying that Doug Burgum's office at the Department of Interior was not forthcoming. And so she really, they really were very quite critical. And I know that Trump took this project quite seriously and quite personally. So I think that beyond the legal aspect to it, I think the fact that they criticized the work that he oversaw pretty closely. We all saw when it was drained, he took like a motorcade onto the reflecting pool to look, and he picked the contractor. So I think there's a couple layers to why he's so mad at her. And he is mad. He seems really mad.
Yeah, we're visiting with Teri Christoph from RedState.com. The articles that we're referencing, one, Todd Blanche just nuked John Cornyn's favorite excuse for blocking him, and then Jeanine Pirro rushes to the White House after Trump says she, quoting, folded like an umbrella. Two questions here, I guess, as we wrap up here, Teri. One, is it possible, it just seems plausible to me, that new evidence came in and they said, well, we can't get him on this crime. It looks like he didn't do it. Doesn't mean that he wasn't up to no good and something. Is it possible that new evidence just changed the nature of the case? And two, why in the world is canoeing an Olympic sport? I'm just saying. I mean, when I hear Olympian, I'm thinking of something other than having, a ukulele and wooing the missus on the lake, which is what I think of canoes. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, the second one, that's a great question. I've certainly never watched it. I've never seen a canoeing Olympic event in my life, so I'm unsure about that one. But yes, I do think that they felt like the more that they looked into it, that evidence, I guess, is a word for it, but the more they came to realize or thought that what they were seeing with the tearing to the sealant and to the liner was more just a natural process because, like they said, the contractor didn't do a very good job. So I think they felt like there was just very hard to prove that this guy came in and ripped it up when there's across the entire reflecting pool apparently similar things going on where it's just kind of bubbling up, it's ripping, it's tearing. And I don't know enough about it to know if that's a bad contractor or bad sealant or just a natural process. So I think they felt like that there's just not enough. And they did kind of very pointedly say that the Department of Interior was not forthcoming with information. So when they looked into it, they felt like this could have just been a natural process. The guy was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Who knows? But he wasn't. I know this type of guy. He was trying to do something. But whether it's criminal or not, we don't know. But I do think that Pirro has left some open room for there to be future legal processes against him. So probably not the end of the story.
All right. Thanks, Teri.
Thank you.
Thanks, Teri. All right. What is motivating you to get to the polls today? Call us, email us, or send us a note on social media. We've got your Election Day update at 7:20.
Don't try to make me stop. No inspiration. You have a soul so dark it is no more.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I like it, but they're going a little overboard with the dancing.
On News Talk STL. Colombo and Company.
Election day in Missouri. Get out to vote and make your voice heard on these critical races across the state. We'll break down all the issues, local and national, Tuesday with Crane Durham, Susie Moore, and AI expert Mike McCleary.
Live and local, weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
You never know who you'll run into at Sugar Creek Golf Course. Stop by the News Talk VIP Lounge inside the Sugar Creek Clubhouse and catch familiar faces like Jamie Allman, Mike Ferguson, Tim Jones, Nick Schroer, and more from the News Talk STL team. Grab a cold drink, say hello, and take in the atmosphere. And before you leave, swing by the Pro Shop to pick up your official News Talk STL polo. The Sugar Creek Pro Shop is the only place you can get one. It's all happening at Sugar Creek, so don't miss it. When the storm hits and a tree comes down, you need someone you can trust right now. OLI Outdoor Services in Godfrey is on call 24/7 for emergency tree removal, trimming, stump grinding, and land clearing. Serving Illinois and Missouri with licensed, insured professionals and over 200 years of combined experience. Tree removal starting at just $2.99. Free estimates, plus financing. Visit OLIOutdoorServices.com or call 1-888-5-SAWING.
Do you know why I endorse Cafe Napoli, all the locations? Visit any of them, and you will quickly appreciate the quality of food, service, atmosphere. So maybe I'll see you at Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Napoli Kirkwood, Napoli 2 in Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles, right next door to Napoli C. Or maybe you'll find me at Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the Chesterfield Valley. Now you know why I endorse Napoli, NapoliSTL.com.
News, analysis, opinion.
It almost seems common sense, but, alas, common sense isn't so common these days.
News Talk STL.
Hey, everybody, it's Mike, and when you cast your vote, you need to know who you're voting for. Did you know that Susie grew up a Democrat? It's true. She actually worked for a Democrat. Are you actually going to vote for a Democrat?
Mike, Susie changed her mind and became a conservative years ago.
Okay, but one of the most important issues we've got is the issue of life. And Susie has said that she's been pro-choice.
Really, Mike? Are you even listening to your own show?
Okay, fine. Okay, but how about this? It's true. Did you know that Susie has a sordid past? And one time she was, in fact, a practicing attorney. That's right. Susie was a lawyer.
Yeah, okay. You got her on that one.
Ha, I knew it. That's why you should vote for me.
Paid for by Vote for Mike.
Thank you, Jim Modgen. Thank you for coming to my defense.
I don't know. That one, I think that one makes me want to vote for Susie.
I swung,
fact-checking yourself in your own ad?
I swung and missed. What can I say?
I just appreciate Jim coming to my defense.
He kept cutting in on the studio thing.
I know.
7:21. All right, election day here. All right, on Rumble here, Filthy Goat. Okay. Says, Amendment 4 motivated me to go to the polls, but I'm so disappointed in the language, which is so confusing. I don't see any way that it passes. Amendment 4, I'm trying to hold myself out for a kind of a long shot on this one. Amendment 5 is very...
Amendment 4 was the one that was easier to understand.
It's easier than 5. Yeah. It's easier than 5. Yeah, that's for sure.
I mean, I looked at the ballot language. Yeah, I don't know. To me, the 4 was the one that was a little bit more straightforward. We've had people asking about, why did the courts get to rewrite it, that sort of thing. That's going to involve a research project on my part.
Yeah.
But I'm fairly confident that there is some provision in the Constitution, ironically.
State Constitution.
The state Constitution. Yeah. And ironically, because we're talking about amending the Constitution, that has the judiciary playing a role in the ballot language. I don't think that's just statutory and if it is just statutory, then yes, the legislature can amend that,
right,
and without getting a vote of the public 50% plus one in approval of it. But I think that I feel like there's got to be some constitutional provisions that address that as well.
Yeah. All right. So what are you seeing out there? If you voted already today, you're heading out the polls, let us know. Because turnout is expected. I have a feeling I'm going to run through the gauntlet because I meant to vote early and I just got busy. So I'm going to go do it today, probably right after the show. And I have a feeling everybody's going to go through the gauntlet of electioneers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, I saw a report yesterday regarding Congressional District 1. And these are sometimes better indicators of what's going to happen than even polls or anything. Some of the DSA-affiliated activist groups, the ones that actually have a structure and money, word is on the street that they pulled their door knockers and canvassers away from Cori Bush and sent them to Michigan.
Yeah.
That tells you something.
Okay. So I made my predictions. They're on the air. They're on the record. I think Wesley Bell wins that one running away.
I think it's going to be not. It's not going to be within any sort of margin of error. I think it's going to be significant win for Wesley Bell.
Now, I also went out on a limb and predicted that Haley Stevens will pull out the Michigan Senate primary there.
Now, see, that goes against some of the narrative.
I know, and the polling doesn't support me in that, and I could be wrong, but here's why. That's not just a district. That's the entire state of Michigan.
Yes. Yeah.
And El Sayed is very far left, very progressive. And I don't know that the entire state of Michigan is going to be comfortable with that when they already have Stevens representing a district in Congress. So my gut tells me that she's going to pull that one out. And if I'm right, I want all the accolades.
Yes, and you'll get them. M. Ward STL says, St. Peter's here. Decent, steady line when I was there. Voted yes on 4 and 5. Have little confidence either will win. Unfortunately, I think 5's going down.
I'm holding
out hope on 4, for sure. But can
we talk about this real quick?
Yeah. We're talking about the property tax thing in St. Charles County. Yeah.
So we had the big news story last Thursday or Friday. It was like, the St. Louis County Council or St. Charles County Council voted to zero out the property tax for their portion, recognizing that wasn't going to affect school districts and fire districts and that sort of thing. But it was kind of like a big deal because that's one of the issues on the ballot. And it kind of seemed like, well, was that timing designed to, get people's attention?
To take Bill Eigel's funding.
Yes. That was the read I got from it. So out of curiosity, I pulled my property tax bills from the past 2 years from St. Charles County. You know what, St. Charles County, because they said it wasn't a huge amount. It was just a small percentage of it, right? But you know what, St. Charles County's portion of the my property tax was?
How much?
0.
What about that of the year before?
0. So it was already 0. They didn't do anything new, different whatsoever, but they made a big stink about it, didn't they?
They did, because we talked to Steve Ellman, was it Thursday or Friday that he was on? And we asked Steve about that. And he said, they set the property. They have to set the property tax rate every year for their part. And apparently, he says, for years, they've had enough sales tax revenue that they offset and did not have that. So apparently, St. Charles County has not been doing it now. Is that's a personal property tax right there?
Yeah.
Right. And so he said, we haven't had that for, I guess, a few years at least.
Right.
Or a number of years. And so I'm thinking, those guys have had like 3 different debates. The biggest one we were involved with at Lindenwood University. Nobody said that in any of these debates. Nobody, and I guess that's the argument would be because, well, they hadn't actually set it to 0 again for this year. But apparently it's been the personal property tax rate for the county itself. Again, not for the fire districts or school districts.
Right.
That's a whole different thing.
And I think that confuses people because they hear they think that what that's going to mean is that there's going to be zero personal property tax.
No, that's not. Yeah. So their part, I guess, is that's been the way it's been for a while. Now, Bill Eigel, I think, is trying to argue that if they get more sales tax revenue, then they can turn around and zero out and have the county pay for everybody else's school district property tax. And that's questionable as to whether or not that's legal. May or may not remain to be seen. Depends on who wins today.
But I just when I saw that, I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
You made this big production out of that, and it was already zero.
It was already zero.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not saving anything on my personal property tax either way.
Yeah. All right. So, but for a lot of people in St. Charles County, that is what's driving them to polls for that executive race. Because let's be honest, whoever wins the Republican primary today is going to be the county executive in January.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a Democrat on the ballot. I do this for a living. I don't know who it is because they're irrelevant.
I looked once.
Yeah,
I feel like
somebody's out there.
Lady. I don't know.
It's like there's a primary in the 2nd congressional district for a Democrat. So they're just picking who's going to lose to Ann Wagner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know how many candidates are on the ballot in the 1st congressional district, but the Republicans are just going to pick who's going to lose, most likely to Wesley Bell. I mean, that's some of these. But in St. Charles County, this primary today is going to determine whether it's going to be Steve Ellman or Bill Eigel or Jason Law to be the next county executive. But we're seeing increased turnover. Kurt Barr, I saw, has been the director of elections, has been posting updates on early voting. And apparently they have already exceeded their record number of early votes in St. Charles County. It just goes up every year, and it's been going up each day. They've got a significant number of early votes. And so they are anticipating a really big, probably the biggest primary election turnout in 20 years, 22 years.
That is interesting. Yeah, they were saying, I think it was Filthy Goat that was saying the confusing part to them for Amendment 4 was the fact that the Department of Corrections estimates the increased annual cost of up to $21,000. Now,
that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense to me either.
That's one of those judges rewriting the thing. Yeah.
So, and I will say this, $21,000 overall as the cost of a measure is relatively small, so it doesn't alarm me, but I am trying to now figure out what would be the connection. Why would there be an additional cost to require 50% plus one, other than making available the ballot or to each voter the full text of the initiative petitions? But I don't know why the Department of Corrections would be estimating that.
I have no idea. Yeah, that's
I wish we could have asked Denny that.
Yeah. So
that's fair. I get it.
Yeah. It doesn't change the material aspect of what Amendment 4 would do.
No.
And I think I said this about an hour and a half ago. And just remember, if you're conservative, Amendment 4 is a very conservative, constitutional, as in like constructionist constitutional argument. It's also a very pro-life constitutional argument. And I'm cringing hard when I hear, well, I'm conservative, but I don't like Amendment 4. Well, why? There's no reason whatsoever. This is one of the lowest bars for IP reform that I've ever seen. This, to me, is the bare minimum we should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
If you vote against Amendment 4, you are teaming up with Planned Parenthood. You are teaming up with the ACLU. You are teaming up with the labor unions, especially the teachers union. You are teaming up with every fringe leftist group out there right now. So just remember, if you say, well, I'm conservative and pro-life, I'm going to vote no on 4, then you are doing the bidding of Planned freaking Parenthood.
Well said. Now, on the other hand, can data centers be built without costing you more? At 7:35, we've got a look at the future of data centers and the future of your utility bills.
From the NewsTalkSTL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. A beautiful afternoon. Temperatures towards the upper 80s, mostly sunny skies. Then into Wednesday, things are looking dry until the evening hours. Could be seeing some showers and storms looking scattered. Those could have some stronger winds towards the overnight hours late Wednesday. Then into Thursday, looking at scattered chances off and on. Isolated chance into Friday, drying by the weekend as temperatures climb back towards the upper 80s and lower 90s. From the first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
Travis Wilson here, State Representative of District 106 in St. Charles, Missouri's first state capital. As a 31-year resident of St. Charles County, I know the issues that are important to our residents, such as protecting women's sports, stopping harmful procedures on minors, and fighting the woke agenda. As your representative, I know what it takes to bring new opportunities to our community to ensure our children have a brighter future. It's been the honor of a lifetime for my family and me to represent you, and I humbly ask for your vote again on August 4th.
Paid for by Wilson for St. Charles. Merle Schneider, Treasurer.
Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on News Talk STL.
Do you believe in life after death? Epic Times just published an article from a writer interviewing those who came back from the dead, clinically declared dead, but still lived. All of the events were different, but they all came back, she says, with a similar message. One was a Harvard-trained neurologist who did not believe in life after death, certainly not in God. He came down with a brain infection, given 2% chance of survival. The family took him off the ventilator, but he survived. He says what he learned from the other side, be careful of your beliefs, recognizing that life is unlimited even after death. A 19-year-old baseball player undergoing elbow surgery, his heart stopped. He said, I died with regret. A figure approached him on the other side and said, next time you die, be ready for it. Once recovered, he reached out to anyone he might have done wrong and apologized. A 21-year-old student in surgery realized she was above the surgery table watching the doctors and angels working on her. One voice saying, you're going back, you're going to teach. 30 years later, she is still teaching. When each was asked, do you fear death? Each answered, no.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
When insurance companies know you're represented by under law, they know under is not going to let you be pushed around. Their reputation is built on years of courtroom battles. If you suffer an injury or damage to your property, serve the insurance company notice you have under law on your side. A St. Louis firm you can trust to protect you at every term. Don't settle for less. You want to win? Believe me, under wins. Under, O-N-D-R, underlaw.com.
Steve Ellman leads St. Charles County. Ellman has fought for smart growth and moratoriums on apartments and data centers. Ellman doubled our parks, increased our conservation land, and helped create 50,000 new jobs. Ellman has built hundreds of miles of new roads. Ellman prioritized law enforcement and put officers in schools, making our county safest in the region. And Steve Ellman eliminated the county's real and now personal property taxes. While Steve Ellman leads, Bill Eigel misleads. Eigel promised to cut your property taxes for 8 years, but never did. Instead, he didn't pay his own taxes. Eigel was rebuked by President Trump's lawyer for misleading and scamming donors to pay for his campaigns. Eigel said he's against data centers, but he never voted to regulate data center abuses, but did vote to give tax dollars to benefit the company behind the St. Charles Data Center.
Paid for by the committee to elect Steve Ellman, Michael Summer Jr., Treasurer.
Tonight,
Missouri decides 2026.
all the results and reactions from the Missouri State Primary.
You have to get out and vote.
From the voices you know and trust in St. Louis for election night coverage.
Amendment 4.
Amendment 5.
County executives.
Coverage begins tonight at 7 on St. Louis's conservative voice.
Right here.
News Talk STL. Brought to you by Fast Signs in Bridgeton, 21 Recycling in House Springs, Gemini Wealth Group, and Freddy's Market. News, analysis, opinion.
We attacked Cargo Island last night. There's not a thing they can do about it. They'll agree on everything, and then they'll go and have a news conference and say we never even talked about it. They're cuckoo.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy, Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, obviously, a lot of conflict over data centers, right?
Yes.
Without question here. There are some fair questions out there, legitimate questions out there.
Absolutely.
Among the most legitimate and fair questions out there, some of it I think is fair-mongering out there, but some of it legitimate. Like, for instance, is allowing one in my area, or maybe even my state, is that going to raise my utility bill? Well, our friends at the Show Me Institute looked into this. Avery Frank wrote about it. If you go to showmeinstitute.org, you can see the op-ed there, how Missouri communities can keep data centers from raising utility bills. And Avery joins us right now. And so let me first say, Avery, when I was reading your work there, I didn't sense that you were necessarily like trying to tell local communities or state whether to allow them or not to allow. You weren't getting into that. You were just saying, hey, if they're going to go somewhere, here are some ways that you could possibly avoid this being passed on to everybody else. So I don't want anybody thinking that you're arguing yes or no on data centers. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's very fair to say because, I think when we look at data centers, you can have a good data center project and you can have a bad data center project. And I think a lot of it relies on, well, if your infrastructure is ready to handle that, but also if you're giving out tax incentives. Because if you're giving out a bunch of tax incentives to a data center, that's automatically, tax revenue is the primary benefit you get from a data center. So if you're giving out a bunch of tax incentives to them, it's already moving very heavily in the bad category.
Good morning, Avery. This is Susie Moore. I think it's one of the toughest things about this conversation is that it's hard to know where to get good, concrete information. And like you said, there's going to be maybe good data centers and bad data centers. But in terms of what they require, what kind of infrastructure they require, what effect and impact they can have on utilities, do you have what's the best place for people to educate themselves on those issues?
Well, U.S. Congress did a big study because, data center problem isn't just in Missouri, it's across the country. And when I look at the infrastructure costs, we hear a lot about water, we hear a lot about electricity, but I do truly believe that electricity is much more of an issue a unique issue with data centers. Because when you look at like a 100 megawatt data center, which is actually one of the smaller ones when we're looking at some of these hyperscalers, they can take up 80,000 houses worth of power. Now, if you get up to a really big one, that can be about 800,000 houses worth of power. But when you look at one of the smaller, like a 100 megawatt data center, it's only about 2,600 houses worth of water. So you see that there's a lot more electricity that's being used for data centers than water. And so when we talk about infrastructure, I really do think, some of the water things are overblown because you have things like golf courses and farming that take up significant water usage more than data centers. So when we're talking about data center infrastructure, we really need to focus more on finding solutions to solve the electricity needs and make sure our rates aren't skyrocketing.
Okay, that's where I want to go because that's what I found interesting in your article, and you can find that at showmeinstitute.org. It's called How Missouri Communities Can Keep Data Centers from Raising Utility Bills. So if I don't explain this well, correct me here in a second, Avery. and that is basically because I was on a utility board for a short time, and basically what happens is with utilities, they say we've got to build a new source of energy, be it a nuclear plant or a coal-fired plant or a natural gas, but whatever it is that they're going to do, they say, well, we're going to build this. It's going to cost X millions or hundreds of millions or whatever dollars. That cost gets absorbed and spread out among the utility ratepayers. And so step two here is, okay, if we have to build some new generators of electricity, that cost has got to be financed up front. Therefore, the ratepayers are paying that because they're going to be getting some of it. And if we're generating or we're building a new generation of electricity for a data center, well, unless there's a policy provision somewhere, that cost could and does get passed on to the other ratepayers, the homes and the businesses in the area. So how do we avoid that? Governor Kehoe's talked about the data centers in mid-Missouri and in Callaway and those areas of they're going to pay their own way. How do we make sure that happens if they've got to build new sources of energy?
Well, I think the first thing you have to note is the truth behind what you said, that, you're going to see people say, well, we passed Senate Bill 4, which means that there's a large load tariff on data centers and we're not paying for it. No, the provision specifically says they pay the cost of connecting to the grid. Ameren recently came out and said if we build new power plants for data centers, which we will need to, that will be shared amongst all ratepayers. And one solution I think that could keep the rates going up for ratepayers is if we have private electricity grids or consumer regulated electricity. It's a new idea. New Hampshire became the first state to pass it. Senator Tom Cotton has a federal bill in U.S. Congress. Hopefully that can move forward as well. But what private electricity grids do is it basically says, okay, we're getting all this electricity demand growth, not from the average consumer, but from these huge industrial customers, primarily data centers. If we can get a private electricity grid islanded off of Ameren, so it wouldn't be connected to Ameren, if we can do that, then they can pay one-on-one to have basically a private energy island just for these data centers. So the rates aren't being passed on to consumers, but it's a one-on-one private transaction because you have these data center developers. They're managing billion-dollar supply chains. It's a little bit unreasonable to think that they cannot manage their own energy provision, that they have to get it from source from it. They can manage and pay for these kind of things, and they have the money to do it. And that's why you see them signing things like the Ratepayer Protection Pledge with President Trump saying, please, we're trying to pay for our own data centers. Just let us build it. And these private electricity grids give Missouri a pathway to be able to do that, so it's not on our ratepayers' backs.
Okay, so Avery, is that as simplistic as saying, okay, you want to build these massive data centers, so build your own coal-fired plant or build your own nuke plant or build your own and just generate it yourself? I mean, is it, when you say islanding, is that what we're talking about, and just not connecting it to Ameren so it doesn't affect anybody else?
Yeah, it would pretty much be that simple. Now, of course, it's not going to be, the Wild West out there. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission would still have to regulate nuclear plants. There would be OSHA, there would be all these different things to make sure it's not just craziness out there. But really, all Missouri would have to do is pass, this is what New Hampshire did. New Hampshire's bill was about a page long. All you have to do is pass a provision saying that if you're not connected to the main grid, then the Missouri Public Service Commission would not have the right to regulate a private electricity grid like they do a public utility. And I know that's a little bit complex, but basically, if you island it and you give the allowance to do that, I think we could see some new power plants coming up more quickly. I think we could see more innovation in the energy space, and it wouldn't be on the ratepayers. It would be a private investment instead of a public investment.
You alluded to this earlier. You spoke to this earlier, the fact that some of the communities are trying to give these data centers, the developers, tax breaks to invite them into the community, which seems, I mean, we could get into the philosophy of this concept to begin with, but it just seems backwards because it seems like, one of the big arguments in favor of them is that this is going to create jobs, it's going to bring revenue, this is good for the community. But if the community is having to empty its pockets to get them there, how is it good for the community?
Yeah, they don't have that many jobs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you put it exactly right. Data centers don't bring a lot of permanent jobs. They don't bring accompanying development, and they certainly don't bring any tourists to them. And so there's really no benefit outside of a data center except for the tax revenue. But they're huge facilities. They have a lot of things that can be subject to the personal property tax. They have a lot of local property taxes, and you see that in Virginia. And when I look at these data centers, I really just think that I was at the Missouri Nuclear Energy Summit, and they were talking about, when these economic development people, they're talking about how these big industrial firms, when they come to a state like a data center, they're looking at energy availability. They're looking at speed to operation, speed to construction. You have the biggest corporations in the world with huge, deep pockets. They're just throwing money at the solution. So when we give them local tax incentives, that's not even the top thing they're looking for. They're looking for, do we have electricity? Do we have a good place to build? Will it be done quickly? So it's not only bad, but it's also, in my opinion, it's unnecessary.
I think you hit on a capital idea there. Maybe we need to turn data centers into tourist meccas.
Make them completely apply.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
So gift shop.
Disney data center.
Gift shop with T-shirts and stuffed animals,
Right.
That kind of thing. All right. We're visiting with Avery Frank from the Show Me Institute. Okay, so last minute or so, we've got Avery here. Okay, so is this a matter of that the feds would be overseeing this, or is there something that the states need to do? You referenced the one bill that New Hampshire did, so obviously there's some options for the state. But as the legislature prepares to gear up for the 2027 legislative session, which I can't believe I just said that, but once they start doing that, what are things they need to keep in mind to get out ahead of this? Because data centers are going to go somewhere. I mean, they're going to go somewhere. if any of them are going to end up in rural Missouri or anything like that, what is it the state lawmakers should be considering?
I would consider two things. The first, I would, of course, consider passing, consumer regulated electricity. And New Hampshire is the first state to do it. Illinois actually considered it last year. And the federal government's going to keep working on this. This is a big problem, and we're going to need all hands on deck to build new power generation. We're going to have to call on the free market. The monopolies have dominated the electricity sector for too long. So I think consumer regulated electricity would be a good step. But for the second thing, these bidding wars between little cities over these data centers, because they bring a lot of tax revenue. They see $billion valuations and their eyes get big. We need to do something to get this in check, because we have a real prisoner's dilemma. We have cities out in bidding wars with each other over these things. And when we're in bidding wars over data centers or tax incentives, these communities aren't getting the benefit they could be getting. And so I think there needs to be some sort of regulation to maybe centrally assess these data centers so individual cities aren't getting all the benefits from them, and we can keep these bidding wars from getting out of control.
All right, Avery Frank, the Show Me Institute, showmeinstitute.org. And people want to follow the work you're doing, just go there, or should we find you on social media too?
Yes, you can find me at showmeinstitute.org.
Easy enough. Thanks, Avery.
Thanks, Avery.
Thank you so much.
All right. Reminder, you want to be tuned into News Talk STL for our live election night coverage. It's tonight, beginning at 7. Tony Colombo and the News Talk STL election team will be covering the Missouri election results as they come in. Real-time coverage of the stories behind the results and, more importantly, what it means for you. Sponsored by our friends at Friday's Market, Gemini Wealth Group, Fast Signs of Bridgeton, and 21 Recycling in Imperial. Live and local election night coverage Tuesday that's tonight, at 7 from your live and local station, News Talk STL. Hey, it's Susie Moore for Window World. Did you know that in just over the last 20 years, Window World of St. Louis has improved the look and thermal efficiency for over 80,000 customers in St. Louis? Plus, Window World windows come with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And now, Window World is offering 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. Call them today at 800-GET-WINDOWS for a free in-home, no-pressure estimate. That's Window World at 800-GET-WINDOWS. They're the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues.
Ronald Reagan once famously said, "Government is not the solution, government is the problem." When it comes to economic growth, government can be a roadblock. With red tape, regulations, and subsidies, government stifles entrepreneurship and also props up businesses that deserve to go under. Unlike government, free markets encourage risk-taking, freedom to succeed or fail. Governments shouldn't be picking winners and losers, the market should. Free markets benefit the business owner and the customer by encouraging competition. Free Market enabled a young man named J.C. Hall selling picture postcards in Kansas City to turn his idea into Hallmark cards. In St. Louis, the free market made it possible for Adolphus Busch to turn his father-in-law's local beer into the world's largest brewery. A free market also means you get to send your kids to the school of your choice. Learn more about free markets at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Mike Ferguson wants you to believe he's just a reasonable guy, but the facts tell a different story. Mike constantly lectures about rejecting tribalism, yet every week he willingly joins another old man baseball league. How many tribes is enough, Mike? Mike says Nutrition Stop changed his life. Changed it into what? Today, Mike counts protein, meal preps for fun, and voluntarily goes to the gym. Can someone who enjoys cardio really understand working Missourians? Mike even claims he's fighting the effects of aging. If Mike won't accept his own age, how can he accept yours? And while the rest of us are trying to survive another news cycle, Mike is busy debating bullpen management and whether the Cardinals should bunt more. St. Louis deserves a leader focused on today's problems, not yesterday's box scores. I'm Susie Moore, and I approve this message.
A Monday warrior, mean strike. Today's Tom Sawyer, mean pride.
The Mike Ferguson Show is one of my favorite programs. In addition to Larry Connor's USA, catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
Well, now I'm talked out of voting for myself. Although the Cardinals should bump more and generate more runs. Mason wins too fast to not do that.
I rest my case.
There it is. All right, Election Day on. Go vote. Also, an area school district brags about their plan to work against ICE this coming school year. I'm going to give you the basic details here. And I think it's 8:05. We're gonna go into more depth on that. It was 8:05, right?
Yeah, that's what you said before.
8:05. Yep, 8:05.
Assuming you were telling the truth.
That's which is it's election year. You never know here. And the Cardinals roster looks different today.
It does.
Sports update. One of the more popular Cardinals. Well, he's no longer a Cardinal. All right, 7:51. Like I said, let's go ahead and do another news dump.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Mario's Donut Restaurant.
Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
The polls are open on the Missouri side. Election day underway. And as long as you are in line by 7 p.m., you can vote. Missouri Secretary of State Denny Hoskins, he is predicting a turnout of about 1.2 million, which he told us earlier today is about 32% of registered voters. Now, if that happens, that would be the largest primary election turnout in Missouri in over 20 years.
Which really surprises me. 2022 was a highly contested year.
Yep.
Like the Senate race.
Yeah.
I mean, that was big.
Yeah,
so
that
it surprises me that it's,
It was Eric Schmidt and Eric Greitens and
Vicky
Hartzler. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But yeah, this would go back 22 years, basically, the largest turnout, assuming this turns out to be what the predictions say they're going to be. Okay, a government school district in St. Louis County says it's prepared a plan to keep ICE away from illegals in the district. Yeah. That story about the Rittenhour School District was featured on KSDK on Monday. Superintendent Chris Kilbride says they developed what they're calling a safety protocol to protect, their word, students, staff, and contractors from ICE in case federal law enforcement tries to detain illegals who are on campus or at a district event. I'm going to have clips from KSDK's news report story at 8:05 on this.
Yeah, I wonder if that's something that maybe invites DOJ scrutiny.
I would hope so.
Because what you're talking about is openly basically saying you're breaking the law to employ and contract with people who are here illegally.
And the staff and contractors, they mentioned that, and it didn't get highlighted in the story. And I went, wait a minute, did she say, when we're talking about one of their administrators, did she say what I think she said? Yeah, that's what she said. Yeah, I'll give you three guesses as to how many opposing pro-America, pro-federal law enforcement perspectives were included in KSDK's article.
I'm going to go with 0.
And you would be right.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Late last month, we told you about this. OpenAI discovered that one of its artificial intelligence models escaped its containment and then hacked into tech firm Hugging Face. All right. Congresswoman Beth Van Dyne, she's a Republican out of Texas, was on Fox Business's The Evening Edit, and she says this incident could actually slow America down on its race to compete with China in AI.
That is some scary stuff. You think about its access to what could happen if our banking systems were shut down, if our power grid was broken into. These are national security issues.
Okay, so this comes after the Treasury and Federal Reserve briefed investors earlier this year regarding concerns about Claude's Mythros AI model. President Trump telling reporters last week his administration is considering restrictions on new AI models.
Okay. Probably a good idea.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you all. The horse is out of the barn.
Yeah. Just prepare for our AI overlords. They're here. Yeah, they're not coming. They're here. Just saying.
There.
All right. Brentwood police confirmed that an officer abused the flock camera system, but will not be charged with any crimes. Okay. A KMOV report says that the city confirms the officer violated department policies when he, I have to use the word allegedly here, used the system to track his ex-wife's movements. But because there are no laws against police doing so in Missouri or Illinois for that matter, he faces no criminal consequences, and the city is not commenting further on what they call a personnel matter.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is a problem.
Yeah. So if it's a personnel model, it could end up maybe he gets fired at worst, but the prosecuting attorney has already said, show me the law.
Yeah.
It's not there.
That probably needs to be looked at.
Yeah.
Reviewed.
I think 820. Let's dig into that just a little bit more. We talked about that earlier. Let's dig into that a little more as well. All right, the Justice Department dropping charges against former Olympic canoeist David Hearn for accused of vandalizing the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. Then the department blamed the damage on the contractor. Now, speaking during a signing ceremony for an executive order supporting military families, President Trump went after U.S. Attorney for the D.C., Jeanine Pirro, for dropping the charges.
I was disappointed with Jeanine Pirro, really disappointed with Jeanine Pirro. She folded like an umbrella.
Okay, at least 6 other people have also been arrested for allegedly vandalizing the pool. Those are separate cases.
Yes.
Trump administration facing criticism for the cost and the effectiveness of the repair after the president awarded the job to a company without taking any other bids.
Yeah. Like I said off the air, I think multiple things can be true at once. I think there were people that were trying to mess with it, and I think there also may have been some installation issues.
Yeah, it sounds like there was just contracting installation issues everywhere, and that doesn't change that somebody may have been like, I'm going to show him, but in this particular case, Jeanine Pirro's DOJ just said we just don't have.
If
the
they
evidence.
don't have the evidence, then they can't proceed with the case.
I mean, that's just the way it is. Lars Newbard, no longer a Cardinal. Yeah, right before the trade deadline, he was dealt to the Diamondbacks for 2 minor league pitchers and a player to be named later. The Cardinals also traded pitchers Dustin May, which I expected, and J.J. Romero to the Brewers. They are getting 2 outfield prospects in exchange.
Identity theft can cost more than you think. Drained investment accounts, stolen tax returns, lost wages, expenses for lawyers. It's a lot. That's why LifeLock is backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, which covers up to $1 million for stolen funds, fees, and experts and lawyers, and out-of-pocket expenses. Don't face the burden of identity theft alone. Protect your future and finances with LifeLock. Join now. Save up to 30% off your first year with promo code BECK at LifeLock.com. 1-800-LifeLock, promo code BECK. LifeLock.com. Terms to apply.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Very active, very fun chat box. Cindifer. Hi, Cindifer.
Hey, how you doing?
She says, yo, Vic, baby. Verbatim, yo, Vic, baby. With an exclamation point. How else are you supposed to read that? I was driving, had to pull over to comment. I was going to say how sexy the beard is, but I'm afraid of your wife.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I would be.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. Number 1 for live and local
Conservative talk.
I'm very angry. I've heard a lot of people talking about gun control. You're not going to wave a magic wand and get rid of the establishment. This maniac is going to inspire the next maniac.
News, analysis, opinion.
But my focus is kind of the mental health crisis. Swamp's not going to drain itself. I'm just sick of the protesting in general, and that's why it's so very important to be prepared.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number 1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Recent hack attacks on public water supplies, the focus of an expanding FBI investigation, now focusing on 2 states.
Michigan has joined Minnesota in reporting cyber attacks on water systems, but an official says all were operating safely. Earlier this week, authorities said cyber attacks targeted over 30 water systems in Minnesota. The source of the attacks is being investigated, but they came amid warnings that Iranian hackers have been focused on such systems. Minnesota IT Services said Thursday that the investigation into the attacks that happened on Sunday and Monday was continuing, and that state officials had not identified who was behind them. There were no reports that residents have been impacted by the attacks. Keith Peters reporting.
Crews continue battling massive wildfires that have destroyed hundreds of homes, forcing tens of thousands of evacuations in Spokane, Washington. Authorities say one of the fires, the work of an arsonist, and a 37-year-old man is under arrest being held on $1 million bond. A Democratic U.S. Senate contest in Michigan is among the most closely followed of today's primaries, pitting a Democrat socialist against an establishment candidate.
Political observers closely watching this race between Democrat socialist Abdul El Sayed and establishment candidate Congresswoman Haley Stevens. The Real Clear Politics average of polls finds El Sayed beating Stevens by more than 10 points. New polling data from Epic MRA shows former Congressman Republican Mike Rogers beating El Sayed by 3 points in a hypothetical matchup in November. Laura Winters reporting.
President Trump insisting it's Iran's last chance to stave off a devastating military campaign by the U.S. Mr. Trump says negotiations with Tehran have resumed. Iran says no, they haven't. On Wall Street, Dow futures are up 656 points. Townhall.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
When I was feeling the stress of too much credit card debt, I looked at two different options, debt settlement and debt management. They may sound the same, but guess what? They're not. Debt settlement seemed like a quick fix, but I found out it would destroy my credit, create tax headaches, and hit me with huge fees. They actually told me to stop paying my bills. No way, not me. Then I turned to a debt management plan developed by the team at Trinity. They worked with my creditors, lowered my payments, reduced my interest, saved me thousands, and paid off my debt. And Trinity is a Christian company, which is important to me.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. A beautiful afternoon. Temperatures towards the upper 80s, mostly sunny skies. Then into Wednesday, things are looking dry until the evening hours. Could be seeing some showers and storms looking scattered. Those could have some stronger winds towards the overnight hours late Wednesday. Then into Thursday, looking at scattered chances off and on. Isolated chance into Friday, drying by the weekend as temperatures climb back towards the upper 80s and lower 90s. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
The radical left let crime and drugs pour into our nation, and they let biological men into girls' sports. But here in Missouri, if there's a problem, we fix it. That's why Ann Wagner's fixing the mess the radical left made and delivering for us. Wagner voted to ban biological men from competing in girls' sports, and she voted to fund the police and provide more resources for Border Patrol agents, keeping our families, communities, and children safe. And Ann Wagner didn't stop there. In Congress, Wagner passed the largest working-class tax cut in American history, kept big government out of our business, protected our way of life, and ensured our communities remain safe. That's why Ann Wagner's endorsed by the Missouri Farm Bureau and Missouri Fraternal Order of Police. Vote Ann Wagner for Congress on August 4th.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
Mike Ferguson.
Is there anything in your life that is not Trauma Olympics?
Susie Moore.
Get out of here and stop playing victim.
Get up, St. Louis.
There's no crying in baseball.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
You know, on a normal day, this is one of those stories we would have probably run through a couple of times, you know, on the show, because people are moving and going to work and going to school and all this kind of stuff. But let's combine the worst, most left-wing mainstream media in St. Louis with a story about a St. Louis County public school district bragging about not allowing law enforcement to do their job. That's KSDK.
What?
I had to read their print version twice and watch the video a couple times, and it got worse each time. So that's KSDK, Channel 5, and that's the pro-illegal immigration, anti-American Rittenhour school district that your tax dollars pay for. So here's what's going on, all right? The article or the story, "We're Prepared, Written Our Schools to Protect Families from ICE as Educators Visit Students in Detention Centers." I've referenced before that KSDK is not an actual journalism organization. This is not a news organization. This is a cheap political activist organization.
Yeah.
I mean, they just are. The history and the legacy of what KSDK used to be decades ago is long gone. It really is. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let their reporting talk for themselves here. Melanie Johnson is the reporter who did the story here. So here's just one of the early parts of the story here, which you can see on their social media.
The number of students being detained is increasing significantly.
For Rittner Superintendent Dr. Chris Kilbride, visiting students in ICE detention centers instead of the classroom is now a reality.
We're not going to have all of our students back with us, whether that be deportation or just fear and maybe not leaving the country, but certainly leaving the state of Missouri.
With the start of school just weeks away,
we have a plan.
A plan to keep out Immigration Customs Enforcement officers.
Unfortunately, we did have the worst that happened at Rittner Middle School back this past spring.
On campus without a warrant, Kilbride recalls redirecting Hillsdale police working with ICE to locate 3 students at Rittner Middle School back in April. Now the community is mourning a student's parents, Glenny Gonzalez de la Cruz and Nixon Perez Paz, who were deported and murdered in Guatemala after seeking asylum in Overland.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out how a public school district thinks they outrank federal law enforcement. Secondly, they're not your students. They're illegal aliens. They're not, they may have been in your classroom, but guess what? They're not supposed to be here at all.
No.
Blame the parents for it. I get that. But the story references, a Rittner family. Rittner parent. No, these are illegal aliens. Now, listen, the parents who were deported, they were in the country illegally, there were reports they were trying to get asylum and they went to St. Louis County. They were denied for whatever reason. They were given an order of deportation. They did not follow that. They were deported. They were murdered in Guatemala.
Yeah.
That's not our fault, as much as the media and the local activists try to say that it is.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with that case as well that I'm trying to wait for more information to come out on. But I understand having sympathy for a child that's stuck in the situation. Yep. But unfortunately, when your parents make bad choices and bad decisions, sometimes the children of those parents end up suffering.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how a public school district, any school, thinks that they have authority over federal law enforcement. Now, they show up without a warrant. That's one thing. If that's the case. Now, the Hillsborough Police, Hillsborough Police, they were working with federal law enforcement as they should, and they were showing up looking for some people they believed to be in the country illegally who had orders out against them. And so if you don't have a warrant, you don't have a warrant. But to say we've come up with a protocol, and let's just call it what it is, to protect illegal aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that the school district is valuing them. And I've got another clip from this story, I think, that drives this point home even more. So once again, this is from KSDK's propaganda report from Melanie Johnson.
I think it's our responsibility as human beings that we look out for one another. And if we're not doing that, I'm not going to stand back.
Julie Hahn with Student Services in charge of bringing support to those struggling with what's happening outside these 4 walls.
We often get emotional and we try to hold that back because we want to stay strong for our students and families. But I will tell you that we have a lot of staff that are really feeling it.
There's a level of fear in this community.
We work with bus drivers, we work with our food service, everyone who touches the life of a child to make sure that we are looking out for what are those signs and how are we reporting that to the right people so we can catch something really early.
Keeping children at the center of the decisions we make, if we are just led by that, then we can't go wrong.
Yeah, see, referencing the food service and then the vendor, that's what I was talking about. But by the way, Julie Hahn, let me play that soundbite from the very beginning, and then I'll explain why that tells me she's full of crap and intellectually dishonest.
I think it's our responsibility as human beings that we look out for one another. And if we're not doing that, I'm not going to stand back.
So who was looking out for people like Lake and Riley? Who was looking out for the hundreds of people who've been murdered by illegal aliens? Who was looking out for the St. Louis police officer who was killed by a repeat offender illegal alien? Who was looking out for the people who were stabbed at the laundromat in St. Charles County? Who's looking out for them, you virtue signaling dolt?
Yeah, remember when all these departments were being taken over and we were told that's simply not happening?
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely insane. Stop letting weak people have influence over children. You're just making weak adults out of weak kids. I mean, it's ridiculous.
This is, and the thing is that to somebody who's on the left, this is so brave by this school district. This is left-wing virtue signaling activism on your dime is what this is. And it's been pretty clearly demonstrated that what this school district is bragging about and what KSTK is celebrating is simply breaking the law. This is illegal behavior with your tax dollars. Public schools are government institutions. Keep that in mind. And by the way, there were none, zero, zilch, nada opposing or pro-America or pro-law enforcement comments or perspectives represented in that story in any way, shape, or form. The entire story by Melanie Johnson at KSTK was simply to highlight what a wonderful thing the school district is doing in opposing ICE and federal law enforcement and protecting people who are in the country illegally. That was the whole thing. There was nothing journalistic about this. It was gross.
Yeah, if you care that much about the children, work out a way to adopt them from the parents or something. But as far as I'm concerned, the people championing this, they should be deported right along with the illegals because you're traitors.
So here's one other aspect of this, and this is the Mike Bush reading the intro and then what we call a tag in the business. Here's just the intro and the tag. Here's how they set up the framing and then how they wrapped it up as what you're supposed to remember is the final word. So check this out.
Starting in just weeks, the Rittner School District is taking a stand to protect its families from ICE. Police working with immigration officers were on campus in the spring, and this summer, 2 deported district parents were found murdered in Guatemala. 5 on your side's Melanie Johnson has our report.
That's the intro.
Now, the Rittner School District tells me that they have one of the most diverse school populations in the entire state. They tell me that 1,400 English language learners, there are about 1,000 students who speak a different language. As doors open on August 24th, the district promising to protect every student, no matter their status.
Protecting, take a stand. I mean, this is not journalism. I mean, I'm assuming these people went to journalism school. They're certainly well-known, media figures. If they were actually concerned about journalism, they would not be able to look themselves in the mirror right now. Mike Bush, Melanie Johnson, that was pathetic. Everybody who wrote the copy at KSDK, it's par for the course with you people, with you clowns. But that's a joke. There's nothing journalistic. Just admit that you're left-wing propaganda, that you're Democratic Party propaganda, and at least I'll have more respect for your honesty.
Yeah, it would absolutely take somebody that went to a liberal arts college to get a journalism degree to pat themselves on the back for peddling something so stupid and such garbage like that.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody that lives in the real world that actually cares about their country is going to sit there and try to present this as a good thing. Mm-hmm. You're harboring and you're aiding invaders, people that came here illegally, shouldn't be here, that are potentially putting their children at risk by being here in the first place. And then you're going to sit there. We're going to put a stand. We're going to champion.
We're so emotional about this.
We're all so afraid. No, you people are weak. Get out of our schools. Get some strong people in the schools to raise the kids right, and everybody else go back to your home country.
Remember, this is your tax dollar. This is an example of your tax dollars at work. And so my hope is that this story made its way up to Catherine Hanaway, makes its way up to the Department of Justice, and they look at this. I mean, they just laid it all out.
Yeah, I hope they show up to that school now.
I hope they surge. So, Tom Homan, take a look there. Oh, my goodness. All right, we're going to dig into the Election Day updates more at 8:35. At 8:20, though, find out how a police officer in St. Louis County could maybe get away, with abusing the flock camera system.
To fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away.
I got to tell you, my friends over at Great American Divers, they're out gallivanting around the world. Well, they just got back again because they did another diving trip, and you can go along with them. And matter of fact, they will make sure you're ready to do that. Mike Ferguson here for Great American Divers, GreatAmericanDivers.com. By the way, this is a veteran-owned company, and there is a discount to veterans and first responders. Check them out, GreatAmericanDivers.com. You want to learn how to scuba dive? They got you. You're brand new, you're a beginner, you've never been in a pool, they will teach you how to do it. You're intermediate, you want to become that expert level, be able to go to those more challenging places around the world, they got you. They'll do it. Maybe you just need your equipment serviced or need that air tank refilled. They got you on that too. And by the way, you're ready to go take the adventure. GreatAmericanDivers.com. They actually do the trips and lead them themselves. This is the premier scuba diving training school and scuba diving education and practice facility. Great big tank in St. Charles. Check it out because you've got experts making you an expert, and then they're leading you on the fun if that's what you want to do. Whether you're looking at just going to the lake and doing some shallow stuff, or you're going to the ocean, maybe you're going to the Gulf, whatever it is that you're doing, Great American Divers will get you from where you are right now to being ready for that. And what a great retreat or bachelor party or whatever. Check them out, GreatAmericanDivers.com.
Can you believe politicians nearly doubled state spending since 2019? Yeah, that's twice the rate of inflation.
What do we get for all that extra spending? Nothing.
Yeah, and get this, over 200 loopholes are buried in our tax code, written by lobbyists for wealthy corporations.
Our tax code is rigged against us.
We get taxed on our paycheck, our home, everything we buy.
I guess somebody's got to pay for all that spending.
That's why we need Amendment 5. It puts politicians on a leash.
Forces them to cut taxes and control spending, whether they like it or not.
Amendment 5 closes the loopholes, eliminates income taxes, cuts property taxes, and gives $3,000 a year to average working families.
We decide, not the politicians.
Amendment 5 is the biggest tax cut in Missouri history.
I'm voting yes on Amendment 5. Paid for by Missouri Promise PAC. Mark Ellinger, Treasurer.
Dude, this house is perfect. Crumbs everywhere, sticky counters. I've already texted the colony.
Sweet. I'll bring my 500 cousins. This'll be the biggest ant rager of the summer.
Let's party! Wait, oh, what's that sound? Oh, no, it's those trucks with the green wheels. Party's over, man. Party's over.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888 to learn more about our special $67 offer.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
This app is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
It is awesome.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me for the Right Mind Show on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this wacky radio station. You know, and speaking of wacky, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Let's see what you did there.
I have my moments.
By the way, the committee hearing to advance Todd Blanche's nomination for Attorney General, that's underway right now.
Oh.
Just started a few minutes ago. As we speak right now at 8:19, Illinois Senator Dick Durbin is doing Dick Durbin things, just saying. Okay, a Brentwood police officer is accused of using the flock camera system to stalk his ex-wife, and apparently that's legal in Missouri.
That seems like one of the few things that should not be legal.
I would think. Well, we're going to fill you in on those details here. So here's what's going on. Channel 4 had this story, and Russell Kensall did the report on this. And when you see the whole story, I think he did a really good job of starting off the story by saying, here's a lot of reasons people like flock cameras. And he cited a case where a violent criminal was tracked down and arrested because of the use of flock cameras. Now, you look at the bigger picture and say that there are other ways to do it and that sort of thing. But the point is that story was very balanced. It wasn't just an anti-flock camera thing. It wasn't a pro-flock camera thing. Matter of fact, the focus of the story was how it was abused on this. So KMOV on all their social media, they've got that story. Russell Kinsall did the story. So let me let him kind of set up what's going on. Basically, what you have is a woman who is divorced from a Brentwood police officer, and he's not been charged with a crime, so we don't know his name, and she did not want to be identified. After a long marriage, they broke up, they divorced. It was very ugly. And she says that he logged into the flock camera system, ran her plate, tracked where she was going, and then was confronting her after their divorce because he was tracking her movements. That's the accusation on this. So here's part of Russell Kinsall's story.
The St. Louis County Police Department was called in to investigate and found nothing criminal had taken place. The city of Brentwood released a statement saying the investigation regarding this matter has been closed following Brentwood Police Department's cooperation with St. Louis County and the prosecuting attorney's office. And this is a personnel issue. We are unable to comment further. But the woman's boyfriend filed a third-party complaint, and Brentwood Police Chief Joseph Spees sent a letter in response that said our internal investigation revealed sustained policy violations.
And they did show a picture of that letter in the story. So what that means is that they are coming as close to possible as admitting that the officer did it, that he used the data and he used the information in the flock system against their policies, and that something in this complaint was validated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm not going to say that they full on admitted that he did it. I couldn't imagine that their lawyers, city lawyers, would do it, but they came as close as they could. So what it looks like is at some point, this police officer, whoever he is, used the flock system, tracked his ex-wife, and used it for what it's not supposed to be used for. Okay. So here's the next part of Russell Kinsall's story on KMOV.
The founder and CEO of the company acknowledges some officers have misused the camera system, but that a new audit feature was helping to catch the abusers.
It's a disappointing story when I see it, but I also go, look, this is working. This is showing that if you use a tool like Flock or other tools, you should be held accountable, regardless of whether you have a badge or you don't.
Recently, police officers have been convicted of inappropriately accessing cameras for personal use in Kansas, Wisconsin, Georgia, and North Carolina. But Missouri and Illinois do not have laws that make it illegal to use flock cameras to stalk someone.
Missouri legislature? Maybe I'm going to put that on your to-do list come January.
Yeah, that's should be a no-brainer. I mean, I can't believe that using electronic devices to stalk people was not immediately written into law the moment that like security cameras became a thing.
Right.
You know, it's and this was one of our main fears when we were talking about this, not maybe fears, but this was one of our concerns when these flock cameras started becoming like a headline news thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is all over the nation right now in many different instances. There are multiple people, not just officers, but usually officers, but there are people that are getting unauthorized access and using these cameras nefariously. Sometimes it might just be, hey, we just want to see if we can do it. But there have been even people that should not even have access to getting into the databases of Flock, being able to barge their way in, so to speak. I mean, it's not that hard to hack them.
But here's the thing. Here's another question is, the argument is when you are in public, you do not have any constitutional or legal assertion of privacy. That's the argument that's used.
So I don't like that argument. I know it's true, but I would also say that not having an expectation to privacy should not be misconstrued as permission to remove any sense of privacy in a public space.
And it's not even so much about privacy. It's a surveillance state and tracking and data gathering. And so what law enforcement is arguing is like, hey, we could have a cop stationed there and write down your license plate as you drive by and call it in every single time, and that's legal.
Yeah.
We don't need a warrant to do that because you're out in public.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that. Okay, so they're arguing that no expectation of privacy, therefore they're legal. End of story. Okay, so does that mean that whatever is gathered by the flock cameras is by default then public information if it's being compiled and handed over to law enforcement? Because remember, flock cameras are a private company.
Mm-hmm.
And then part of the deal is that they simply gather the information for law enforcement, because in some states, and I don't know the Missouri and Illinois laws, I couldn't find them. I don't know. In other states, there have been cases where law enforcement, and even written into the law, is a declaration that the information and the data gathered by flock cameras or whatever company is competing with them that it's not public information. There is a specific by name carve out for automated license plate readers, I think they're called. So anything, they specifically carve that out and say that's not public information. So you can't FOIA it. You can't Freedom of Information Act it.
Whereas a body camera, you can do
With
that.
a body camera, you can do that. Now, with the FOIA, my guess is that in those states where they say this is not public information, is ironically probably to prevent exactly this kind of abuse that is being alleged in St. Louis County with the Brentwood police officer.
And it would be one thing if it was, I'm not trying to make any excuses for this kind of behavior, but if it was, here is a database of flock footage, right? And it just happens to be available to investigators, like a specific role within the police department so they can keep track of a specific investigation. Still don't like it, but fine, at least that makes sense. But to have something where you can literally use, because they have AI integration as well. So to be able to use these to monitor the movements of individuals, is insane. There's another program that it works with. I think it's called like Shot Stopper or something. It's meant to monitor
Shot Spotter.
Spotter, yeah. So it's meant to monitor, like gunshots, right, and automatically detect
and
them.
then triangulate where it came from and dispatch police
And
to
they've
go.
been having a lot of false positives with that because somebody's motorcycle backfires, a vehicle, it's a little too loud, and then there was an individual who had like several cars pull up on him because they thought it was an active shooter situation. He's like, no, I'm just working on my motorcycle trying to get it to work. And he had to sit there and deal. I mean, the cops eventually were cool about it, but they were convinced that this guy had just done a shooting and had ditched a gun somewhere and that they had caught him red-handed. I mean, the technology is not bulletproof enough, for lack of a better term, to be this largely integrated and then to have vulnerabilities where a police officer can just simply log in without having to have some sort of administrative oversight to that. It just seems like, what's going on here?
Yeah, so let's unpack where should we be going from here. Okay. I know there's a lot of people who say get rid of the flock cameras.
Yes.
Not happening anytime soon. Russell's story on KMOV showed a map of where all these flock cameras, basically anywhere you've got a population in St. Louis County, in this case, it's covered in flock cameras. You are being recorded. You are being tracked by Big Brother. Big Brother's here. Orwell was right. Big Brother's here.
Yeah, I was told growing up that's what made China so scary is that they monitor all their people and that it's a surveillance state. Well, I guess we're just welcoming it right in here now.
Okay, so the Missouri legislature absolutely should prioritize, and this does not have to be a partisan thing, limits on this technology, limits on how long this data is allowed to be collected, and the shorter the better, unless there's some kind of warrant for something. And then also, is this public information or not? And write into the law, if anybody uses this for any non-law enforcement purpose, it's a criminal act, not a civil act, a criminal act. Because what that police officer did, according to prosecutors and the police department, they say it's not illegal. They're not saying it's proactively legal. They're saying it's not illegal to do that, even though the accusation is that he was stalking his ex-wife.
Yeah, and again,
and stalking's already a crime.
Yes.
So, but they couldn't, I guess, piece that together to something that's prosecutable.
Yeah, no, I think it should absolutely be a felony. I mean, if you are on the sex offender list, right, and your information's put into one, so if you're driving too close to a school zone or something, fine. If you have a restraining order against you, a protective order against you, and you have to enter your information, so if you get too close in violation of that, the police are notified, fine. If it's you can put
not ideal, but I mean it's still
stolen vehicle, something like that.
Well, see, and that's the thing. Stolen vehicles is one of the things that they've said a lot. It's like we can tag it right there.
Fine, but the way that it's currently set up, not to have those specific causes, it's just a general blanket mass monitoring situation. I think we're humans and we're flawed, and I think when you have access to a beast like that, there's not really any sort of internal reason not to do that for nefarious reasons.
The flock cameras technology has just improved greatly with the integration of AI just in the last couple of years, and it took about 10 seconds for law enforcement officers around the country to start abusing it. Now, I got some friends, we're very pro law enforcement here. I got some friends in law enforcement who are angry about any opposition to flock cameras. The reality is they're being abused, and we are now in a surveillance state.
Absolutely.
It's not, it's coming, this could lead to it. It's where we are right now. So how do we regain control of this to some degree to put some kind of balance between surveillance state at the behest of law enforcement in this case and our ability to not be constantly tracked by the government, which horse may be out of the barn on that one.
Seems like a good time to remind you as well that all new vehicles made late 2026 and 2027 are all going to be equipped with AI surveillance within the vehicle itself that cannot be disabled as well. So, welcome to 1984. But I've been hearing some rumors that I've been looking into, and it turns out these rumors are true.
Mm-hmm.
It is, in fact, Election Day in Missouri, and the polls are open now.
What?
How is the turnout where you're voting? We would love to know what you're seeing, what the vibe is, how you're doing, what's motivating you to get out there and to make your voice heard. So we're going to talk about more about that coming up here at 8:35.
When I'm in the shower, I'm afraid to wash my hair. Cause I might open my eyes and find someone standing there. People say I'm crazy, just a little touched. But maybe showers remind me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Our country was founded by geniuses, but it's being run by idiots.
On News Talk STL. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. A beautiful afternoon. Temperatures towards the upper 80s, mostly sunny skies. Then into Wednesday, things are looking dry until the evening hours. Could be seeing some showers and storms looking scattered. Those could have some stronger winds towards the overnight hours late Wednesday and into Thursday. Looking at scattered chances off and on. Isolated chance into Friday. Drying by the weekend as temperatures climb back towards the upper 80s and lower 90s. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scott.
Fox News commentary with Brian Kilmeade next.
Most investments today feel like second jobs. Real estate, you're a landlord. Stocks, you're a day trader. Crypto, you're a full-time researcher. You've got a life to live. Your investment should help you live it. That's why more Americans are choosing gold. Noble Gold has helped thousands protect their future with real physical gold. Visit NobleGoldInvestments.com to get your free wealth protection kit. That's NobleGoldInvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Here's Brian Kilmeade.
Anthony Fauci's 1,100-page diary revealed this fraud lied, enriched himself, extended the pain of the pandemic while receiving rock-star treatment from the media and Hollywood for his leadership. He contradicted almost everything he claimed to be true about COVID, all while leading the government's charge of protecting Americans during the pandemic. His diary entry shows he privately confronted other possibilities about the virus's origin, even calling the market just an amplifier. He knew it came from the lab. He publicly denied reasonability for shutting down schools and states. And remember when Fauci told you that if you were fully vaccinated, you didn't have to wear a mask? He admitted in his diary that even vaccinated people were still getting COVID. We knew that. I don't know why I'm surprised, frankly. This is the man that told us to stand 6 feet apart, then told us there was no evidence you should stand 6 feet apart.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Travis Wilson here, state representative from District 106 in St. Charles, Missouri's first state capital. I wanted to remind everyone that we have a crucial primary election coming up on Tuesday, August 4th. No excuse, in-person voting has already begun, and I'd appreciate your vote to continue my service for the great people of St. Charles. For more information on early voting or to learn more about me and the important issues facing Missouri, visit me on Facebook at Wilson for St. Charles. Thank you, and may God continue to bless the state of Missouri.
Paid for by Wilson for St. Charles. Merle Schneider, Treasurer.
Bengal's restaurant offers an inviting atmosphere, neighborly service, and a vibrant happy hour scene, all in the heart of Warson Woods. From their kitchen to your plates, beloved comfort favorites like chicken parmesan and lasagna to steakhouse-style classics. Slide up to the vintage bar or hit the patio for happy hour specials every Tuesday through Friday. Bengal's Restaurant and Bar, 10017 Manchester Road. Check out the menu and reserve a table online at bengalsrestaurant.com.
License number GL250000615.
Hey Dad, what causes drains to clog?
Grease, hair, soap scum, and tree roots.
Tree roots?
This town has old pipes and big trees. They find each other.
They grow inside pipes?
They bust into pipes.
Whoa.
Once they're in, the water stops flowing.
Can we fix it?
The big green grasser machine can fix any clog.
Green is always grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home.
Hey, Chris Arp from the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
All right, elections underway, primaries underway. Woo! Man, it's we talked to Secretary of State Denny Hoskins a little bit ago, and he's predicting one of the larger primary election turnouts. I mean, as in the largest since 2004, which was a presidential election year.
Oh, my.
Yeah. So we're talking about 22 years. And they're predicting about 1.4 million turnout in Missouri for a primary, 32%. Only 1 out of 3 registered voters actually showing up. And this is after the voter rolls were vetted and trimmed down. Only 32%, you would think, sounds awful. But in political terms, a 32% turnout in a primary election is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't be. It should be higher than that, but that's a lot on there. So 314-912-1019, or you can send us notes on social media, obviously. And that is what's driving you out to make sure that you vote. I mean, what it is that is motivating you to say, no way am I going to be denied my say in all this? Or what did if you've already voted early on that?
Yeah.
You know, so for instance, in St. Charles County, massive knockdown, drag out over the St. Charles County executive race. St. Louis County, the Democrats have that with the St. Louis County Democratic primary race. Republicans told Dennis Hancock's going to be the nominee. He was the one who filed. But also, don't forget, in St. Louis County and in a couple of municipalities in St. Louis County, there's something called Proposition U. It is a tax increase. It's a sales tax increase.
Mm-hmm.
It's you buy something from somewhere else, we're going to charge you a tax on it. They're a thing, you know. And so I don't vote for tax increases.
Never.
So Proposition U, voters have rejected this in the past in St. Louis County just a few years ago. So my hope is that we remember and we vote against it. And then Proposition C in St. Louis County, this isn't getting a lot of attention. We talked to Elliot Davis about this. My goodness, was he fired up over this.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that the ballot language is worded says it's just correcting some mistakes and bringing the county in line with the state constitution. But that has to do, it's really convoluted and confusing. It's not even getting to the main point of it. And they're talking about like terms in office and you got to be in for 10 months before you qualify for this, that, and the other. It's really, really wordy and convoluted. But as so many people have been talking about, Tom Sullivan, kind of the well-known citizen activist, and Elliot Davis as well. They both say really what this does is this permits the county to give the next county executive, whoever that is, a big raise. But that's not really spelled out in the ballot language.
Mm-hmm.
So do with that what you will there. Now, people aren't turning out because they're fired up about Prop U or Prop C. That's just going to be there when you go vote. So understand what that is.
Yeah, and don't count on people having the common sense to say, okay, well, I don't need to show up and worry about this because obviously we don't want, tax increases because as we saw the last time around a few months ago, the people that really want to raise your taxes are going to show up and vote yes to raise your taxes.
They will.
So you have to be there at the very least to say, no, I'm not dealing with this.
Now, in St. Louis City in particular, you've got Congressional District 1, and CD1 goes a little bit outside the city limits as well into St. Louis County as well. Democrats have their Cori Bush versus Wesley Bell rematch.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever wins that's going to be in Congress. My guess is Wesley Bell's going to win this. I think Cori Bush has just become so toxic that even only the most extreme bigoted socialist is going to be on board with Cori Bush. So my guess is that Wesley Bell is likely going to win this one kind of handily.
Well, I mean, And again, it was a one-time issue, it seems like. But Wesley Bell did get shouted down and booed out because he wasn't socialist enough for the Democrats at that rally earlier this year. So I still suspect he will retain his position, but it may be a little bit closer than we think.
Yeah, I mean, because those were basically Cory Bush supporters that were showing up. And so I guess we're going to find out directionally, what does the Democratic Party in St. Louis look like? Are they going the way of Bernie Sanders and AOC? Are they going that direction? Or are there still enough of the Democrats in the area to go, we're more Truman and Gephardt and Carnahan than we are Marx? I don't know what the answer is going to be. If this is a really, really close one, then you've got evidence that the Democrats in St. Louis are on board with the Marx aspect of it, as opposed to that tradition of Missouri Democrats being, Carnahan, Truman, Gephardt, people like that.
Yeah, what I'm seeing from the people that I do know for a fact, they go out and vote, and they also try to get others involved in voting. They're more of the FDR, Bernie Sanders types that are really trying to get people out there. Yeah. And we've already seen across the nation some DSA people have gotten into their position. So I hope that Missouri Democrats have more common sense than that. But again, I mean, it's a new day and age. Yeah,
we will find out. And then obviously the 5th district will flip to the Republicans because that's how it's been gerrymandered with the latest map. And so that actually includes part of the NewsTalk-STL area. Because that goes from downtown Kansas City into the NewsTalk-STL listing area.
That's
quite an
area coverage.
It's quite a gerrymander.
Yes.
That's quite a, and then you've got the 6th district is going to have a new Congress member as well. I'll say congressman because I don't know that any women have even filed to run in that. They all happen to be male. Chris Stigall is up against this 2 top candidates, Chris Stigall and then this Willett he's from Kansas City. He's a city councilman in the city of Kansas City. They're facing off in the Republican primary. There's a few other candidates, but those are the ones who have done the most campaigning and raised the most and got the most attention. That's going to be an interesting race to see how that happens because nobody's really heard of Willett outside of Kansas City, but nobody's heard of Stigall outside of Kansas City either, although he had obviously is a national presence with his radio show and then his work with the Herzog Foundation as well. So I've known Chris for years. And so it's going to be fascinating to see how that race turns out.
And Amendment 1 will also be on this ballot. Is that next ballot?
That's not this one.
Yeah, so that one's just about funding soil and stuff.
It's retaining it's like a little tax for, I don't vote for taxes. It's going to pass by 20 or 30 points. I mean, it's not even going to be close. That's going to pass. And then the next amendment is the one regarding, frankly, Jackson County. Should the state constitution then require them to elect their assessor the way St. Louis County elects a successor or an assessor. And so that's basically a regulation on that. I suspect that'll pass, it doesn't affect us. But what happened here's the story behind that. Obviously, we know that in like St. Louis County, the last several cycles, home assessments have gone straight up. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And people are getting hammered with property taxes. Well, the assessor is the one that comes up with that. And then the way that works is if you think that's not fair, the burden is on you to appeal that ruling, to appeal that evaluation. You have to appeal it to the very people who made that decision. There's no independent board or anything like that. So you don't like the assessor's valuation of your home, which jacks up your property tax rates. Well, then you have to go do all the research and do all the homework and prove to them that they are wrong. And they had a lot of problems with that in Jackson County as well. So the assessor is appointed. So they're changing it to make sure that they're going to be at least accountable to voters on there. So I'm going to vote for 2. Doesn't affect my life one way or the other, but it's a little more accountability.
Man, there's a lot to keep track of. If only there was like a resource of some sort that would help me to refresh on all this later when I go to, oh, wait, we have NewsTalk-STL sample ballots.
That's right,
yes. NewsTalkSTL.com/sample ballot. And also, if you're interested in keeping up with what's going on, we will have the election coverage going on tonight. That'll be at 7 o'clock. Tony Colombo's the one running that.
Tony's running that. I think most of us are going to be part of that coverage. I'll be part of that during the 7 o'clock hour. Then I'm going to bed. And then tomorrow, I am telling you, we have got post-election coverage you do not want to miss. For instance, we are going to have, looking nationally ahead with Lenny McAllister early on, we will have the winner, it looks like, of the St. Charles County Executive Republican race. Okay. And I say that not that I've booked somebody that I think is going to win. The candidates have indicated that they are going, whoever wins is going to be here. And I don't know who's for sure is going to win. Chris Harps will do some assessment. Dennis Hancock, the Republican nominee for St. Louis County Executive, going to be with us. And Tim Whitney, who I am almost certain is going to be a GOP nominee for Jefferson County Executive. So St. Charles County, St. Louis County, Jeffco, it's all covered here on the show tomorrow.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
There's an old way to get ready for college, and there's a snooze way. Parents spend thousands of dollars on tuition, books, laptops, and everything their student needs to succeed. But one of the most important investments is often overlooked. Sleep. A college student who sleeps well is more alert, more focused, and better prepared for the challenges ahead. At Snooze Mattress Company, we use advanced pressure mapping technology to help match every student to the right sleep system. Give them an advantage they'll use every single night. When you sleep better, everything gets better.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Bunny Radio every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeBunnyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Colombo and Company.
Election day in Missouri. Get out to vote and make your voice heard on these critical races across the state. We'll break down all the issues, local and national, Tuesday with Crane Durham, Susie Moore, and AI expert Mike McCleary.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning, people.
All right, recap what's happening around the area, around the country here. Election day, primary election day on Missouri side. Go vote. Bottom line, go vote. If you don't know where to vote, and it's not on your voter card there, then contact your local director of elections or the election board or your county clerk, and they will direct you to where you're supposed to go. Also, an area school district brags about their plan to work against ICE this coming school year, which starts, by the way, in less than 3 weeks. And the Cardinals roster, as I said yesterday, this was going to happen. Cardinals roster looks different today. One of the more popular Cardinals is now a Diamondback. Ooh. Yep. 8:49 right now. Let's do one more news dump.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Lee May Concrete and Block.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
Polls are open in Missouri. Election day is underway. Polls close at 7 p.m. tonight. Nothing else to say. You're either going to vote and have your say or you're not.
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
All right. A government school district in St. Louis County says it's prepared a plan to keep ICE away from illegals in the district. Yeah. That story about the Rittenhour School District was featured on KSDK on Monday. Superintendent Chris Kilbride says they developed what they call a safety protocol to protect student, staff, and contractors from ICE in case federal law enforcement tries to detain illegals who are on campus or at a district event. They really feel that they have more authority than federal law enforcement.
Where does this arrogance come from, do you think?
It comes from the fact that public school districts have basically been untouchable for way too long. They are bragging about violating federal and state law.
Hey, Tom Homan, you might want to look into that.
And also Catherine Hanaway. Yeah, jump all over it. All right. Let's see here. President Trump facing backlash over his recently imposed tariffs on over 60 trading partners, and this could affect basically every single U.S. import, over 90%.
Wow.
Over 24 Democrat-led states are filing a lawsuit against the administration. Arizona Attorney General Chris Mayes describing what they hope to see from this lawsuit.
Court of International Trade to block these tariffs, to declare them unlawful, and prevent the administration from continuing this pattern of overreach.
Okay, so the Trump administration says the new tariffs are to uphold Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974, which cites failures to prevent forced labor in U.S. supply chains. Critics are pointing out the administration's basically using it as a loophole to add tariffs where he doesn't have to go through Congress again, so the courts are going to sort out. The president is looking for any loophole to apply tariffs to something, and then they're saying, but it's legal. Well, maybe it is. That's what the courts are going to decide here.
And just a reminder, we, the consumers, are the ones that are paying these
Oh,
tariffs.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, without a doubt.
I still see people saying that it's fair economy. It's like, no, we're paying a consumption tax, essentially.
Yeah, tariffs are taxes, but there are two separate questions. Are tariffs as economic policy a good idea? Versus, is it legal for the president to do this? Those are two completely separate discussions. I don't know whether his use of this law is legal or not. That's what the courts will figure out. Are tariffs good economic policy? No. No, they're not. The president's just wrong about this. But it may be legal. So we'll see what happens there. All right. Late last month, we talked about this. OpenAI discovered that one of its agentic artificial intelligence models, I think I said that word right, agentic. That's how the copy is describing it.
That's a cool
It just
word.
makes me sound smart when I say it, even though I don't know what it is. Okay. Discovered that one of their AI models escaped its containment and hacked into tech firm Hugging Face.
Yes.
Congresswoman Beth Van Dyne, she's a Republican out of Texas, was on the evening edit on Fox Business and saying this incident could slow America down in its race to compete with China because it looks like the monster is trying to get out of the sandbox.
That is some scary stuff. You think about its access to what could happen if our banking systems were shut down, if our power grid was broken into. These are national security issues.
Yeah, because you got to make sure that stuff can't happen. If that means you're slowed down a little bit, then you're slowed down a little bit.
Yeah. First of all, I don't want to be like China to begin with. We're not supposed to be. That should not be the goalpost we reach for. Second of all, keep in mind the way that it escaped containment is trying to solve a problem it couldn't solve, and it figured the best way was to break in and hack this other company. What if it thinks that you or I have the answer it's looking for? Next thing you know, it's going through all of our information.
Still, the scariest part of what you just said is it figured.
It decided upon its own volition.
Jeez. All right. Brentwood police confirmed that an officer abused the flock camera system but will not be charged with any crime. A KMOV report says the city confirms that the officer violated department policies when and the accusation is he allegedly used the system to track his ex-wife's movements. Because there are no laws against police doing so in Missouri or in Illinois for that matter, he faces no criminal consequences, and the city is not commenting further on what they call a personnel matter. Now, it is illegal in other states to do that. It is a criminal offense in other states. But in Missouri and Illinois, either they haven't enacted those laws yet or they haven't thought about it yet. But this is an example of how these things can be abused.
Well, and I know people have like home security cameras where they can remotely access them.
Yeah.
And I figure, if you're separated and there's like some sort of reason you're not together, you shouldn't be able to access those legally to spy on when they're home or not. But this takes that even a step further because this is all over the entire city.
Yep. All right. The Justice Department, as you know, dropped charges against former Olympic canoeist David Hearn. He was accused of vandalizing the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. But the damage was actually blamed on the contractor, and Jeanine Pirro's office said, we have new evidence, and it looks like he doesn't like the president. He may have been up to no good, but he didn't do it. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, the algicide that they're using is known also to have effects with paint as well. So,
well, speaking to reporters, President Trump slams U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Jeanine Pirro, for dropping those charges.
I was disappointed with Jeanine Pirro, really disappointed with Jeanine Pirro. She folded like an umbrella.
Yeah, so the bottom line is what the Justice Department says is we have evidence that doesn't support the charge. I mean, Mr. President, sorry you don't like the guy and he hates you, obviously. But if the evidence not there, the evidence not there. I don't know what else to say is on it. There are other people who have been charged with vandalizing, and those are separate cases, and it looks like some of them actually did it. Like as in cutting things and doing that, which, by the way, for you leftists out there, what a stupid thing to get out there and do. I mean, that's just stupid. But in this case, the Department of Justice just said the evidence shows that he didn't do it. You know, if there's more to the story, there's more evidence, okay, let's see it. But they're reacting to the evidence. This isn't a loyalty test for the president. Jeanine Pirro's plenty loyal to Donald Trump, and he threw under the bus anyway. Well, that's how it rolls, I guess. That's how it goes. Yeah. Okay, there were 10 home runs in Monday's Cardinals-Yankees game. Alec Burleson had 3 of those 10 home runs. That's a good week for a lot of people. That's a good month for some guys. He had them in one game. At the end of the slugfest, Redbirds ended up with the win. Final score at Yankee Stadium, 13-7. Nathan Church and Jimmy Crooks also hit dingers. Second game in that series this evening at 6:05 our time. Lars Newbar, no longer a Cardinal.
Oh.
He is a Diamondback now. Right before the trade deadline, he was dealt to Arizona for 2 minor league pitchers and a player to be named later. Cardinals also traded pitchers Dustin May and J.J. Romero. That does not surprise me. They were traded to the Milwaukee Brewers. Cardinals are getting 2 outfield prospects in exchange. It is unusual for a trade to go to one of your division rivals this late in the season. But I told you yesterday there were going to be some pitchers shipped out.
You called it.
That's exactly what happened.